Hey, hey, hey. So I am back at my mom's place, thus the audio only approach. Um, Let me know if you guys can hear me, because if you can't, I might need to adjust. I was not going to go live today. As you guys know, my live is going to be on Sunday. I decided to go live because I got a ton of requests telling me to do this. And while work was supposed to be hectic traveling, I have some free time. Probably should be getting a massage or something. Instead, I decided, why not go live? It is what it is. This is going to be probably private in a moment after this, I think. But um, I decided to come live and we can watch it together. Please let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Every time I travel, particularly when I stay at my family's home, I feel like I get sick or stuffy. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Uh, hey everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Do I need to? Oh, all right. Someone said yes. Is it clear though? Like, because I feel like you guys are. All right, we can. Good. All right, perfect. Let's start with Dean. You kill me, Themis, LOL. Less than a month ago, you kept calling these guys red pill, and I had issues with. I'm assuming you meant you had issues with me telling you they aren't. Um, okay, this is the argument that I don't really like. I I would say they are red pill adjacent. And honestly, one of my biggest issues with Abba and Preach is the fact that they don't always call out people in the manosphere when they do something wrong. Obviously, they don't always know, but particularly the lead attorney. I thought they would have called him out on his video that he did when he talked about the man who sort of streamed him going to his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend house and did what he did, and the fact that the lead attorney sort of blamed that on rocking the table, right? I thought that would have been a moment for Abin Preach to come forward. However, because someone is in the manosphere does not mean I disagree with them always. In fact, I have pointed out times in which I agreed with Kevin Samuels when he was holding men accountable prior to all of this foolishness. I've pointed out when I agreed with the roommates, even when I said they were being disingenuous in my view. I called them out, but I do agree with them. So I stand on principle, not group affiliation. Right? Like, I'll repeat that. I stand on principle and not group affiliation. I hope you would have known this by now. There is nothing to indicate that I don't believe Abba and Preach aren't in the manosphere. If anyone is manosphere adjacent, I think I would give that title to Abba and Preach. And the reason is simple, because Abba and Preach, they essentially they make more content. It's not about improving man. It wouldn't be fair to say to group them into the manosphere, but I do feel they're manosphere adjacent. But it is what it is. Let's start now. Blah, how am I just getting the notification? Thank God, because my wallet wouldn't take any more online shopping. I appreciate that. Fair enough, very true. I can see adjacent somewhat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ruslan, how do we define manosphere adjacent? Aren't you going live? I think you were going live to talk about YouTube and stuff. I was actually gonna go on your live stream to learn about YouTube, because for someone who's been on here for, I think I've not been on here for a year fully yet. I still don't know anything about YouTube, honestly, and so I was looking forward to your live, but I think you're going to you're going to go live while I'm live, so I won't be there, but hopefully I can catch the playback. Manosphere adjacent for me are people who generally agrees with the manosphere and contribute to the manosphere content, but aren't themselves in the manosphere. So Abba and Preach, when it comes to talking about male-female relationship, what I find is that they espouse similar ideas that come out of the sort of larger manosphere group, the fact that they're affiliated with them and they agree essentially. It's not like they're affiliated and disagreeing with them. But I think there is more tact, there is more thought in Abba and Preacher's approach, and they also have more variety in terms of the content that they provide. So if Dean can pull up me saying they are a part of the manosphere, that is something that I would retract, just as a general matter, because I that might have been me being hyperbolic, but I do find them manosphere adjacent, not the roommates. I think the roommates are part of the manosphere, even if they say they are not. That is an opinion that's predicated on my thoughts. Themis, my man crush. Not you man crushing a fruitcake. All right, let's start. Let us start. Welcome everyone. By the way, I am this house is so warm. All right. So the first thing I wanted to show you before we watch the video was this comment. So they said this person said BS. I fell in love 5 times in my life, and each time the chick left for the bigger, better deal due to a wanting to work on themselves. I don't know, only to match up with a new dude 3 weeks later. Okay, I don't really care about much of it except this part. I fell in love 5 times in my life, and each time the fact that you're calling them a chick might be part of the problem, left for the bigger, better deal. All right. Not I fell for the 5 times if went in a relationship and 5 times they left you. All right. I mean, I just wanted to start on that comment. All right, let's do it. Is everyone good? Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. And let's get into this video. Wait, why? This is gonna get too spicy. Really? Do you think so? I watched part of their video, but I didn't finish it. Ah, is it gonna get spicy? I feel horrible. Is it gonna get spicy? I think they like prefer playing both sides of the fence, attack on them. They responded, attacks with others that don't pertain to them. They give their opinions and that's it. Yeah. I mean, I watched their content. One of the first videos I did was they reviewed a movie called Sweeties, and everyone was outraged by the movie, and I thought people were outraged for the wrong reason, and I agreed with them. One of my first videos on YouTube was agreeing with Abba and Preach that the outrage seemed disingenuous. Like, uh, anywho, um, Chantel Mayer, thank you so, so much. Also, I appreciate the super chats. You guys know I try to encourage you that you don't have to super chat, but I will start putting up links for where we can donate money to somewhere instead of here. But I want to say that I do really appreciate just the tremendous amount of support and people just showing up. I really do appreciate that. So, Miss Mayor, thank you so much. Mud water when I'm feeling spicy. Ah, I left my mud water. I'll start drinking mud water. Abba and Preach are disingenuous weirdos. I don't feel comfortable calling them weirdos. The jury, for all its worth, is still out on them in my eyes. But let's watch this together and talk.
More of a red pill in general thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they often talk about the nuclear family, right? It's like the nuclear family is dying, feminism is killing it or has killed it, and et cetera, et cetera. These women are not built for making families. And I'm like, okay, I'm not mad at it. You can say that a lot of modern changes that we've made to society definitely do not enable us, right, to have the same type of families that we used to have. Agreed?
Agreed.
So I actually disagree with this point very much. Thank you, Love Self. I appreciate this. Thank you. I disagree with this talking point that feminism in particular destroyed the nuclear family. If we, so when we talk about feminism in particular, right, I find that people do a sort of broad brush of the idea, and that is disingenuous, right? The only way to broad brush feminism is to say it is wanting equality of the sexes. That feminism I am a part of, right? Like I believe men and women are equal. I do not believe the first, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, all of those feminists, and you can be them and be a part of the group. It doesn't matter to me. When I define feminism, I define it as merely wanting equality for men and women. I will take it a step further and say men and women, male and female, are different, but the differences do not create hierarchies, right? And I actually think feminism, in its wanting of equality in the job market, in the home, and everywhere else, I would argue that it actually helps the nuclear family structure. I mean, unless you want someone to be submissive to you all the time, then I would argue that feminism help. And we know a one income family household is not practical anymore for the large majority of people. So I think feminism in its most basic sense is good. I heard someone call my my theme is Dear Man Crush. Who's gonna fight? Who's trying to fight? Period, noble. Thank you again, Miss Mayor. Anyway, we're going to continue because this is not. I know this is not what the video is about, but I do find that they use feminism as a sort of scapegoat. Uh, I don't like it. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Thank you again, Chantal Mayer. Yeah, but feminism is a nice scapegoat, I think. Feminism is a nice scapegoat for men who shy away from accountability. Um, it's also a nice scapegoat because the women who are quote unquote in the street with the blue hair and all of that, I think using their image as the image of the modern woman send, paints a sort of narrative, right? But again, I don't tell people how to structure their I don't tell people how to structure their relationships. I don't tell people about their relationship. This is not my field. I've only spoken ad nauseum about logic, debating, talking points, and that stuff, right? So let's continue.
When you preach to people that they need to get 50 bodies before they can really settle down, how is that contributing to the nuclear family?
Just be careful how you use my name. Just kidding.
Your name? Did I say your name?
You said preach.
Oh, oh, I should not skip this part. They're dragging the manosphere. This is a video about dragging the man. Is a red pill conducive to relationship and building families? Oh, they're about to drag the manosphere, aren't they? They are about to drag the manosphere, and I see it. I see it. I see it coming. Is what the red pill talking about conducive to a nuclear family? No. That's an emphatic no. Like, absolutely not. There is no way you can debate that argument. If pump and dump is a part of the manosphere conversation, um, ooh, not you coming for me and my fruitcake Friday. I'm going to make it a thing. I need to buy a shirt that says fruitcake. I really do need to buy a shirt that says fruitcake. I think that might be my favorite insult of like life.
I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah, Cotton.
Yeah.
My question stands.
Go ahead. How does that, if you preach that, how does that contribute? I mean, you could say that I really tried. I tried. I have nothing.
My question
I have
is,
nothing.
how are a lot of these things in any way conducive to building the nuclear family? Some of these dudes are talking about having like multiple wives and doing all this stuff. Do you think that's the nuclear family?
It's not.
You know, where you got multiple wives, you got to split your time with in different families. How is that contributing to a stable household? You running out here raising your chances of
But I
having
mean, it's something
no,
that
but
you.
you running out here raising the chances of having your kids out of wedlock with strangers that you don't even know. You only like them for their looks. Like, how is that choosing one a good mother for your kids, and two, creating a stable environment for them when you don't want to be with the mother? Like, I just find it funny sometimes where it honestly feels like we're always pulling at two extremes, right? It's like these people are like the nuclear family, the nuclear family. It's like, well, what are you contributing to make sure that that thing is staying intact? You're not, right? It's become
Okay, I this is so annoying. I obviously thus far agree. I don't like if you're going to talk about the manosphere, I feel like they know their audience, and because they do, it's almost like they're saying both sides. It almost like they have to ground themselves and their audience by saying both sides. I do agree that there are issues on both sides, but if you say, is the red pill conducive to relationship building, like go in on the red pill, right? Like you don't have to do the both sides thing unless you're trying to placate your audience. Fruitcake Friday will be cute on a t-shirt. I'll buy one. um I think someone asked if I had a what do you call that? A Patreon. I do not. I'm planning to have a Discord. All of this will be free, by the way. I'm talking to the mods about having a Discord group so we can have more conversations on there. Figuring how to monitor that, but. It will be free. I won't be charging for a Discord. I don't have a Patreon because I feel like if I'm making a video, I can just put it on here. Um, but yeah, I understand, but like this is not to make money. This is to kind of like talk and hopefully create some kind of impact, no matter how sort of small. Um, it's really not about making money. It really isn't. And this is not a shot at anyone using it to make money. I think YouTube is a great business, and maybe one day in the future I could become sort of part of this YouTube business content creator thing. But right now, I'm in love with my career. Not really in love with it, but it's doing what it needs to do. And so this is kind of I enjoy doing this. It is time consuming. It's a lot of work. It is exhausting sometimes, but I actually really do like talking to you guys. So here we go.
come now a self-preservation thing from women and from men,
Yes,
right?
which is understandable.
Right? Women are basically saying, I've been fucked over by society for so long. I didn't have any autonomy. No, none of my dreams mattered. I was basically told to breed and stay at home and cook and clean. So, like, no, I'm an individual who wants to do shit. So I'm gonna go live my best life. Birth control exists. I want to have all this sexual freedom, right? And women are now discovering that, hey, listen, going around fucking every dude on the block is actually not rewarding. Then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where it's guys, right? And now guys are kind of being left behind, right? Their place in the world is almost gone.
Yeah.
Right? Because like they're not in school as
They're
much.
not.
All right. This is agreed, but like that is why we had feminism, right? Like what they just articulated about women lack of autonomy was why we needed feminism. If you are a man who believes that women should be able to actualize, self-actualize, that is, you're a feminist in some ways, right? Like if you believe women should have a choice in what to do and who to become, then self actualization is a part of that process. That is the kind of feminism that I am a part of, right? I mean, I wish I could come on camera, but like I'm literally in my robe in bed, so I'm not going to do that. Um, Same for me for my career. I'm a stick beside it, right? I work too hard at school. I learned about it on Themis channel. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Not
Much.
needed.
They're told that they don't want it, right? Women can do all bad by themselves, right? They're being pushed out of education, a lot of workplaces, even the dating market. Like, there's far more male versions. There's going to be female versions generally. Like, the odds you get laid as an average dude or ugly dude far lower. So finding a mating opportunity becomes much more difficult, right? And so they engage in this self-preservation.
All right. This is not backed by stat. So let me just say this. Like, there are more virgins than there are male virgins and female virgins. The issue that I had with this is that it's self-reported, but let's just say it's real, right? I, I don't want to. It's sad because like most men go after the same type of woman. Not every man, but right, like we have created a standard for beauty. And a lot of these men are going after that one person who has options, right? It is not the case. I don't believe it is the case. Let's say that a man who is just quote unquote looking for sex can't find it. I don't believe that. However, actually, I'm gonna leave that there for a moment, and then we'll see where they go with this. I find Preach attractive actually today anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna be scouting. He is married. Demas is on, though I had to wait until thought I had to wait until Sunday. Yeah, this is an impromptu.
Thing where they're like, well, women are to blame for my issues. The modern woman is not worth even dating or spending time on because they're entitled, twerking, losers, some, you know what I mean? Then the women are like, well, these modern men are just misogynists who want to perpetuate the patriarchy and not take the responsibility. So we have both sides.
Nobody's talking to each other.
Both sides being like, the other's the problem.
And nobody's talking to each
Right?
other.
And even you hear them sometimes. You hear ladies be like, girl, you're the prize. You're the best.
Yes, you
right?
hear that.
Guess what?
They'll lower your standards.
Guess what? I started hearing the red pill dudes be like, "Man, you're the prize. You choose when the relationship happens. You." So they're doing the same speech, but to
Again, I don't like this because it's a false equivalency. Women have been raised in a society that is essentially a patriarchy, which essentially mean you have to go out as a woman and perform to be chosen, right? To essentially be the prize. Again, thankfully, because of feminism, women can self-actualize without the need of men. However, men are still leading, right? So it's very, it's not a fair comparison. And the reasons why women engage in the way that they do in self protection and all of that stuff comes from a lot of trauma, right? And a lot of research to back it up. And so it does not make sense when we are trying to make it even. Like how do I explain this without dragging them? Because I'm not planning to drag anyone tonight. Um, it is not both sides. It's like Donald Trump saying both sides when literal white supremacists were marching down the street. Like it's not both sides. It's not. You cannot have both sides here. There is a reason women operate the way that they do, and there's a reason men operate the way they do. Let's dig into these reasons separately, and then we can see which one is valid and invalid. And I'm not saying every man is invalid in their complaint. Obviously not. There are different stories, both as a community and individually, that would indicate as to why men operate the way that they do. But you cannot juxtapose that against women. And then, if you are not feminist, you essentially believe in the male superiority, right? And if you believe in male supremacy, superiority, dominance, if you believe men are better than women and are the quote unquote leaders, you do not then get to juxtapose men's behavior against women and say they're equal. The leader would have the responsibility. This is why it's interesting because if they all came over and say, you know what, Demas, I'm a feminist. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now you can have your argument about women and men. You can compete with women now, right? Like, you can compete with women when you agree that they are on the same level as you. Now, from my feminist standpoint, right, I believe they're equal, but I believe that there are differences. so I would not compete in the same way. It doesn't make sense that you both make feminism the boogeyman and then you still compete with women. Okay, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like it does not make sense to me. Themis, why should your metric be equality of outcome between genders? Wait, I don't believe in equality of outcome. Equality of outcome is a pipe dream that does not exist. Even if you give every single person the exact same starting point, the outcome will not be equal unless you do something which I think is immoral, right? Which is prevent people from fully actualizing who they are to get equality in the outcome, right? To make sure you limit people's ability to perform. That is the only way you can get equality in the outcome. That is wrong, in my opinion. From a sort of philosophical standpoint, I believe that is immoral. Um, I believe wanting equality in the outcome in and of itself is not bad. I think it is impossible. And if we attempt to get it, it is going to be immoral. I hope that makes sense. So I believe everyone should have equal access so that they can fully actualize, and whatever they do in that actualization process is on them. Um, you cannot prevent people from being good just to make them equal to someone else in the outcome. Does that make sense? I wish I was on camera because I'm doing a lot of hand movement that I think will I think my hand movement will be helpful in communicating, but I don't believe in equality in the outcome. Um, it's an impossibility. Um, the equality versus equity debate. Yeah, I mean, this is part of it, right? But even in terms of in the access, right? I believe in equity. But even if we say equality, it is fine. The problem is if you're talking about giving people access, I do believe that is important. What's his name? Harry Belafonte said that he does not believe people have a right to position because of their skin color, right? But they have been denied because of their skin color. It is removal of the denial of access that I care about. Now, what you do when you're in that role competing is on you. The outcome has nothing to do with me. All I care about is making sure that you have the access. Well, at least that's what I think, how I think about it. I hope that made sense.
To a different crowd that's disaffected or disenfranchised when it comes to the dating
It's like
market.
every bad step they take,
Ah,
they blame it on each other.
yes.
The man and the woman.
Yes.
This is a you guys are purple pill. Shh. I don't care. I'm not a pill, I'm a human being. Okay? Yeah, but you got I don't even go abide by the rules that you go. So you can call me whatever the fuck you want.
Sorry, I feel like I keep cutting them off. This is not even that long of a video. I don't like the blame game. I really don't. I agree. However, if someone is to be blamed, you need to blame them. Like you, when I hear well, even myself, when I hear people talk about white supremacy, I don't get that cringe feeling that most people get. I don't because I do believe it exists. Um, and so, what are we going to do about it? It's essentially my question. But it bothers me when we're saying, "Oh, all we do is blame each other." No, 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 no. Calm down. Are there people who are to be blamed? Are there people who need to be held accountable? Are there people who need to take responsibility for their actions? Like that's the part of the conversation. But anywho, I'm gonna try to play a big chunk before I stop it again. It probably won't work.
I don't give a shit. But everybody's pointing the finger at everybody else
Yeah.
for the bad step that they taking. It's like I take a bad step.
Yeah.
Nigga, why did you make the floor crack? That's what they're doing.
Yo.
God. Not them making fun of their floorboard creaking. I can't. I cannot. This is
But so it goes on, nobody everybody's mad. Everybody's mad, nobody's can y'all just fuck? Okay, y'all could just be fucking right now,
Mm.
other than throwing hands. Y'all could be, instead of being it's like a chainsaw by battle. It's like, yo, y'all could be fucking right now, or not. You don't need to do all of this.
And here's a discussion that you have to have at some point, because you're going to realize some things don't overlap. The things that get you to the dance aren't the things that are going to keep you dancing,
No, my car doesn't make me dance.
right? You got the ID to get in, don't mean you got the skills to keep going,
Oh,
right? The things that will lead you to having the opportunities to succeed aren't the things that are going to keep you succeeding. Meaning, I might have the great flash idea that's going to make up for a great business plan, but what sustains a business is a completely different set of skills. Why am I saying this? Because a lot of times the ideas that are focused on within the red pill community, like the mantras, are great for getting women. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these things will work if you want to get laid, right? You go to these pickup coaches and stuff like that. You want to get laid. A lot of these ideas will work.
Your body count's gonna increase.
Undoubtedly. But when it comes to sustaining long-term relationships, those are not the skills that are going to help you with that. Now, there's going to be some overlap that sense of confidence.
I'm kind of annoyed at this. I was about to finish watching Rosalind's cover of this. I think he did a cover of this, and I think he said it was good. Um, it is okay. It's just like someone said it earlier that they're like they stay on the fence. That's what it's giving. Like I thought they were gonna drag, but they're not. I don't mind it. Um, I think that for a lot of men who recognize the negative impact of the red pill manosphere community, they're attempting to speak to these men in a way that these men can understand. Like if someone is extreme, you kind of slowly try to pull them out of it. I figured out a lot of it doesn't work, but I think there are men in the space who respect Abba and preach, and so maybe they will listen. I don't know. This is giving very much blame both sides, and at the point where people are dying, I I don't know how much of an argument you can give on both sides. Like no, no. Um, but if they're doing what I think they're doing, I understand it. But it's very hard to listen to as someone who cares very deeply about the research, right? Like who cares very deeply about like being not right, but accurate in the portrayal of the issues happening. I don't think they care much for accuracy right now. I think they want it to stop. I can accept that, but wanting it to stop requires, in my mind, putting the blame where it should be. Um, but but I understand. I get why they're not as abrasive, let's say. Um, this is basically some, can't we all just get along? Fake, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, all right. Thank you. I feel like I'm going to keep this comment up because this is how I feel. This is how I feel. The thing is, you can't just say, can't we just get along? You have to acknowledge what is happening and why people might not be able to get along. That's my problem. But thank you, Kina. Kina, I think. Thank you for that. That is it. Can't we all just get along? That's the vibe I'm getting. How can they lead when they can't even take accountability for what they've said and done in the past? They're playing both sides to avoid taking accountability. Yeah, the thing is, on their end, I'm not sure if it's necessarily not wanting to take accountability from them specifically. I think it's not wanting to blame men too much, which is about men's accountability, right? Um, and I don't know if they're doing it out of the fear that they might be dragged, right? Or if they are attempting to sort of, I mean, you guys use the word coddle, but coddle men while they try to force them to change, right? Like it's giving a bitter pill in a sugar coated sort of material. All right, let's continue.
Confidence that you develop, that comfort that you feel with talking to the opposite sex, all that stuff, great. But there are a completely different set of skills that require you tone some of that down that you will need for your relationship to last, right? So you might need to be brazen and confident and do all this other stuff to be able to get there. Cool. But once you get in a relationship, you have to understand the importance of compromise. It's like, what's your end goal, right? My end goal, I want to be married at some point. I'd like to have a few kids. I'd like to be able to be with the mother of my kids, right? That's important to me, right? I don't play with that. I don't want to frivolously have kids like that. Zero interest in doing that. What they teach, right? Other than like, guys, understand what marriage is, which I think is always a good idea because you should know what you're getting into if you're going to sign that contract. Other than that, none of it's conducive to the ideas that'll help you sustain a long marriage.
No, it's about a lot of it is about clout. We talk about showing off and bags, and it's a lot of things about like pickup artist thing. You know, when you have to peak.
Sorry, I saw someone say red pill and divestment are the same thing. Um, I completely disagree with that. Again, this is not a call out. I don't know who said it, but if you actually want to come up, I will open the panel up for us to discuss that because I don't actually agree with that. Um, I think some of the language that is happening on both sides are like disturbing, like actually disturbing. But I don't think they are the same thing because they don't come from the same place. I've had this discussion before, not just on YouTube, but in different circles. Most people agree with me, except on YouTube. One is backed by research, the other is not. The other is not. Um, I don't, yes, Dean is. I feel like you're trolling. All right, let me just say this, Dean. I'm gonna actually say this now. Um, I don't know if you're trolling or if you're actually being genuine in your comments or if you're just joking, kind of. Um, I am not sure what to make of you anymore in terms of your comments. I don't know if you said not trolling. So why are you saying both sides? Like, why do you say I'm saying both sides? Like, people can say both sides when it's true. I'm very confused with you. And you're the only one who I disrupt the live stream for, and I don't know why. It's maybe because you're Jamaican. I don't know. You've been here for a while. You just said both sides, and I agree. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about the language on both sides, then whatever.
Peacock and stuff like that.
Yes.
The cars, the this, the that, and this and the third. That's peacocking. That's based on pickup artistry, you know.
Yeah.
But after that, even if you, I'm not gonna go there. So once you get that, you get that girl, you get whatever you had. It's exactly what you said. It's a different it's a different set of skills. It's a different thing. I got lucky. I got lucky that I didn't have to chase, and I got my girl, and I learned all of that after with comedy, with customer service and things like that. You know what I mean? But I had a father and a mother next to me to tell me how to show me how a family was working. And that's not something that you're gonna find in any book or any pickup artist is gonna be able to show you.
Right.
That's not the thing.
You know, you used to say this a lot, but you say like a lot of this just comes from a place of hurt.
Yeah.
Right? I need to stop. I mean, I do drag him up here a lot and drag him. So, yeah, but he really does troll.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm gonna answer your question. Absolutely, yes.
And what the world doesn't do a good job is acknowledging the struggles of of both genders in a way.
Well, of men, they don't.
Oh my God. Like they literally can't get out of the both, right? Like, ooh, the manosphere is supposed to, in my mind, highlight the struggles of men. I agree. These are what men struggle with. Here is how you fix it. I think the manosphere would be a great idea if it actually addressed the struggles of men. Like I agree. I think that's what it should have done. I wasn't trolling y'all. Stop telling Themis lies to ban me, LO. um, It feels like they all life matter. The manners. This might be my favorite comment so far. It's giving very much all life matter. It is. It really is.
Mm,
Of both genders. Both
if you
genders.
want to say especially men, I would be entitled to agree with you, right?
Especially men, sure, but yeah, no, they're not equivalent. They're not equivalent. No.
Men's issues are often being placed on the back burner or being told they're unimportant. And if you bring them up, you're an incel, you're a men's rights
Or
activist, or
when someone
whatever.
just
Someone said, "OMG, Shea Butter, shut your channel down, sir." Wait, who is Shea Butter? Actually, the gender war started with women. um, if you I understand why Annalisa would tell you to shut your channel down. If you have a channel and you actually believe that the gender war started in the 80s, if you actually believe that, I would also advise, I wouldn't say shut your channel down, but I would advise you to pause on your channel and do some more work, some more research. I promise you, the gender war did not start in the 80s. Ah, it really didn't. I'm looking at this, and it's very strange you would say that. Um, it also did not start with women. If we're talking specifically about the Black community, um, wait, is it Jamaica Day? Not me up here not knowing if it's Jamaica Day. Happy, Happy Jamaica Day. I mean, my country gonna kill me. All right, let's continue.
opens up to you, just look at the Super Bowl. 50 Cent was fat. Lizzo was empowering. Right
Uh,
there.
I can't believe y'all did that. That is not equivalent. Most people online are dragging Lizzo. The people who are speaking about sort of loving yourself, right? Um, is not they're not the majority. And there are people always shaming Lizzo. 50 Cent, 50, is it 50 or 50? I don't care. Um, he's being shamed because he's a troll. He is literally a troll. Like, like, like everyone is looking for something to drag 50 Cent on. That is not even close to being an equivalent, right? All right, think about it. Look at all the male artists, right? Look at all of them. Do you see a variety in body size for men? Yes. There is a ton of variety in body, and this is not me like body positivity here. But there is a ton of variety when it comes to men. Like DJ Khaled, he's been working out since he started. Look, there's a ton of variety for men. For women, it's not the same. The Lizzo became huge because of her size. I mean, obviously she's talented too, but people were fascinated at the idea that Lizzo um, could be a quote unquote pop star because we don't have bigger female pop stars. Like we even have Sam Smith before he lost weight. Anywho, let's continue. Okay, I don't feel that bad either then. I don't feel that bad either. So again, false equivalency. It wasn't right. What they're doing right now is they're giving very much all lives matter, and it's not okay. Like to pretend like women and men get shamed the same for body size is literally ridiculous. No, like let's think about that for real, for real. Like they're essentially saying women and men. Actually, they're not even saying women and men get shamed the same. They were saying men get shamed. It's open season on men, right? Whereas Lizzo was seen as empowerment. When we saw Lizzo breaking down time after time, on Instagram and TikTok. I don't know. Whatever Lizzo is on, I don't follow her, so I don't know. I just see the follow up. Crying because people are calling her fat, right? So it's not true. Like it's annoying me, and I don't know why I'm harping on it because I feel like we all know it's not true. Curry Up and Eat says most men have to be dishonest in order to both sides of your argument. Yeah, this is intellectually dishonest. Someone said they ran Lizzo off of Twitter. I didn't even know that. I'm not repeating that as a fact, but um, I didn't know that. Thank you, Curry Up and Eat. I like your name. Most men have to be dishonest in order to both sides of your argument. This is dishonest. It is just what it is. It is dishonest. Let's continue. Go ahead.
And so you create a section of society that feels alienated, it feels like their issues are not voiced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that video I did before where I said like the red pill is necessary. It's like, well, you got no platforms to really speak to these dudes. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you mad about who they found, but you don't even allow for healthy alternatives,
Mhm.
or don't encourage them, or don't support them, or don't feel like they're valid. Right? Only now you're starting to see people be like, I see men's issues like to some degree, but it's like it's taken a long time. Right? There's been a lot of suffering that these
Men's issues were generally created by men. Men's issue in the patriarchal system was created by men. Now, if you want to separate men by race, then you have an argument about sort of quote unquote white supremacy subjugating black men. Then you would have an argument there. But you can't generalize men and pretend like men's issue came from women. No, 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 no. Men's issues came from men. The fact that men are required to have a deeper voice, be physically stronger, to provide, even to protect, those were and are creations by men. Like men developed the system, men created and perpetuate the system. This is not a judgment on the system. You can participate in the system, you can love the system, but be clear the system was created and is sustained by men. Now, women participate in it. Women play their role, and women help in the system. But in the system of patriarchy, women are subjugated, and men are also subjugated. But they created and perpetuated the system. It doesn't make sense that even if we look to the Constitution, women weren't even allowed. All right, let's continue. I'm not even doing this. No, you don't get to both sides of this argument. No, men have problems. I agree, caused by other men. One of the biggest problems I would venture to say black men in particular have is the high homicide rate. That might be one of the biggest problems facing the black community. All right. All right. All right. So black homicide rate. All right. I'm not even going to finish that thought. Absolutely, Timus. Most weak men are afraid to be considered a sim. Taking care of your family and being responsible to those around them is, yeah, like literally the men online dragging Russell. What's his last name? It doesn't matter. Dragging Russell. I'm so mad that his name just slipped my mind. They're the ones like reaffirming manhood. Like they're the ones saying that you as a man need to perform in this way. Now, Wilson, thank you guys. Now, it's interesting because on one front, we can actually have the conversation where we say, you know what, women looking at little boys and say, stop acting like a sissy is reinforcing the patriarchy. But you don't go far enough to ask why. Why are women enforcing this? Why do they think this is bad? Why, right? Why do women, in talking about their male child being quote unquote a sissy, why is it at all in any way diminishing womanhood, right? Like by a woman saying you're acting like a sissy, right? They're saying there's something wrong with male performing this way. You're not strong. Be tough. Stop acting like a girl. I'm not saying these are bad things. No judgment. But even in the way women police masculinity diminishes femininity. Like even in that way. So we know it doesn't come from women feeling powerful or women building up women in a powerful way or femininity in a powerful way. It diminishes it. This is my stance, by the way. So it is what it is. Um, Someone said Cynthia G YouTube channel. Cynthia G YouTube. I don't know what that means. Um, I don't know what that means. Anywho, Shea Butter took black men out of the house. What is Shea Butter saying? I need to look for Shea Butter. I don't know what Nick Cannon is. Anyway, let's continue.
these people have endured and been told like your problems are invalid, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the same token, it's like women were saying like, "Yo, listen, this man put his hands on me, right? He did things to me," and everyone's like, "Nah, nah, 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 that's not real." It's like, well, you know what? That invalidation will affect you.
Call the police next time.
Yeah.
Not call the police next time. Wait. So they gave an example of women being abused, but they didn't juxtapose it against anything on the other end. Because I actually, I actually kind of want to know what they're comparing that to men. Go look, I don't know. Black men brutalizing, assaulting, and murdering black women is centuries old. Fannie L. Hammer jailed and 2BM were told to beat and sexually assault her for hours. Dang. Black women tortured and murdered by husband, white people during the night. Okay, thank you. By the way, this is part of what I'm saying. Um, oh, there are no mods in here. Where are the mods? I need to mod someone then. If there are no mods in here, let me check to make sure this is. Yeah, this is part of it. Confidence with love. It is super important that when we think about what is happening. Oh, London is in here. London, let me know if you're here by yourself and if you need help. Elle is here. Oh, the mods are here. Um, they were just like listening. Where is it? Someone is saying something. There is an interesting conversation. It looks like there's an interesting conversation going on in the chat, and I can't find it. Oh, Ngozi is here also. All right.
Last time she did. That's messed up.
You know what I'm saying? So in the same token, women have dealt with issues for a long period of time as well, right?
Yeah.
Where their stuff was invalidated.
Yeah.
Now they're being heard for, and it's great,
Yeah.
go. But now they're thinking like, man, y'all ain't got problems. Are you serious? You know what I mean? Like when we
No, I'm sorry. Who said this was good again? Why y'all sent me this? No, it's not right. I think part of the problem is like open up the panel, it will get more interesting. Yeah, I'll open up the panel now. Well, in a minute, actually. I'll play I actually don't even care about the rest of this now. I'll be loyal mod themers. Yes, I'll add some more mods. I don't understand the how do I put this? I don't understand how you are ignoring women sort of laboring to protect men. And the abuse, someone, who was it? Love with confidence with love just pointed this out. Like it doesn't make sense for you to compare them. Yeah. Anyway, I don't understand why are people talking about Cynthia G in I I I don't understand what's happening. Let's continue.
own most of the like self deletions, you don't think we got issues? Like what you talking about, right?
Important.
Right? When dudes getting shafted in family court and in marriages, like what are you talking about? Like I would lose my mind. I would lose my fucking mind if I was married to somebody. I'm off to work. She banging the next dude. Now I gotta leave my house and I gotta pay her a bunch of money. I would lose my mind. It's impossible as a dude not to read that shit and be like, "Oh, nigga, it couldn't be me." Murder's on. Hey, murder's on the menu.
Wait, what? Wait, I didn't hear that. I did not hear that. I know that.
Leave my house and I gotta pay her a bunch of money. I would lose my mind. It's impossible as a dude not to read that shit. Marriages, like, what are you talking about? Like, I would lose my mind. I would lose my fucking mind if I was married to somebody. I'm off to work. She banging the next dude. Now I gotta leave my house and I gotta pay her a bunch of money. I would lose my mind. It's impossible as a dude not to read that shit and be like, "Oh, nigga, it couldn't be me." Murder's on. Hey, murder's on the menu.
Wait, I am. Wait. So you would Okay, I'm gonna ignore this part because I again I'm gonna ignore this part. This is not okay. This is literally not okay. I can't believe people actually watched this and then sent it to me and said, this is good. They went in, and I think you would agree. So my title is I asking if I agree with the Abba and Preach. The answer is no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not agree with this. I do not agree with this. Um, I understand being angry. I understand being hurt, but I do not co-sign taking someone's life. That is not okay. Absolutely not. No.
Right?
We're not saying it's right,
It's not.
but
It's
we can
not.
understand that some people go there.
It's not. It's
But it's
not.
messed up. It messes with
No, you said you would. All right, whatever.
you.
It's not. But here's the thing: just because you're in that place of hurt doesn't mean everything that you hear that appeals to you or that's um,
No, 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 no. Absolutely not. Again, I'm gonna find who said this, and I'm gonna say absolutely not. Don't do it again. Um, you cannot say you understand that place of hurt, but now everything you hear cannot be whatever, right? You cannot make the average man someone who was cheated on and had to give up their home and I don't know pay alimony to this woman. You cannot make the average man out to be that because the average man didn't do that. The average black man definitely didn't do that. So when you make that whole spill about what men go through, which this is horrendous. If a man goes to work, come back, and the woman is cheating, and then he has to leave her, or divorce her, and give up half of what his estate, that is pretty bad, right? Like I do think there should be when we think about divorce. The person who cheated, and we can do the research on that to see who cheat more, right? Or at least who get caught, who get caught cheating more, and who reports it, right? We can do that to see who should be angry after a relationship, right? Like we could actually do that. But what we don't do is pretend like most men are divorcing women because the women cheated and they had to give up their home and money to this woman, so they're walking around feeling pissed. Most men aren't the men doing that, and definitely not in our community. I'm sorry, I had to put that out there because statistically we're not even getting married. So it don't make no sense that that's what's on the other coin of abuse. Hey, bad a big girl. Dean, I think both sides can do better, and I think the answer are usually in the middle. The answer here is not in the middle. There is no middle of good. Oh my God, this is so annoying. Just accept it. Just accept that one side is much, much worse. Like one side has death in it. Like I mean, I don't understand how we are here like both siding this argument. Like there is no both sides. There is literally no both sides. On one hand, people are dying. That is the losing hand. Like that's the losing side. All right, let's continue.
calling to you is for your good. When I worked in telemarketing, we had people we knew who were at risk, who were susceptible to scams.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we target? The people who were susceptible, right? So what they would do, right? And I call it a scam, not because it actually was. No, it wasn't a scam.
I know what you're saying.
It was completely legal.
Yeah.
But if you worked inside, you knew it was a scam.
You target the people that are old, lonely, that don't have nobody to talk to. Definitely.
So what I'm saying is,
Mm.
you as a man also have to ask yourself: are you angry or upset or bothered by certain things? If most of us are honest, we're probably going to say yes to some degree. Because if you've seen female entitlement, if you've seen a lot of this nonsense, there's reasons. Okay, I'm not saying what you're feeling is invalid. I'm saying that I get it. But you have to ask yourself, because you have this emotional response to some degree to things that you see happening into the world, can people pray and manipulate on that? And it takes a lot of self-reflection to be like, you know what, I was a bit susceptible. You know, if I'm looking at this objectively, I can agree that some of this is not good. Here's an example. They'll say a lot of times, oh, women, don't be out there fucking around. Why? Because then you can't pair bond. Statistics prove this. You know what the statistics also say? they say that it's also bad for dudes to be out there because it makes it harder for you to pair bond as well. This is important information. Why? Because if we're telling people, yeah, you want a marriage, don't get with these women who out there fucking because they can't pair bond. Well, if you engage in that same behavior, it also reduces your odds. And anybody, here's what you're going to notice also pattern of these dudes who are
Okay, I'm not a fan of this idea of peer bonding, but again, I don't care about relationships in the way that I tell people what to do. I do think peer bonding is not what we are looking for in general. I think commitment is, but this is a philosophical point. It is choosing and staying committed. Yeah, but I, I don't really think about peer bonding, but continue.
out here fucking left, right, and center doing all this other stuff, generally they have a lot of kids out of wedlock. Generally, it's hard for them to hold down a relationship or a marriage. Some of them have never even been in a marriage. They just go from girl to girl to girls sometimes at the same time. Now you have to ask yourself, do you want to be doing that for the rest of your life? So maybe there's some things in how they're living their lives and the things that they're preaching that is not for you. All I'm saying is this to summarize.
So basically, what you're saying is are you pissed off? And if you're pissed off, are they feeding you being pissed off? And if they're feeding you being pissed off, is it from a good place or they're just preying on you? Were you ever pissed off?
Yeah. But through learning and life experience, I've had to learn that some of the things I was pissed off about were unjustified. Also, some of the ideas that I completely thought. Here's when I get really like, if I get weird. If I see someone being dogmatic, I take a step back. If you see the world in too much of a black and white, because I know my life has been gray. I know the things I've been dealt with have been nuanced. I've known people who were criminals who were really wonderful people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a complicated thing.
Everything is not a Disney movie.
It's not. Right. So I had to learn through observing the world that like, yo, maybe some of my ideas are not good. You know, when I'm seeing stable relationships that are lasting 25, 30 years and I'm observing these people and how content and good they are with their life. And you got people telling me, yo, marriage is useless and all this other stuff. I'm like, but what they're living is showing me something.
All right. Well, I dropped the link. I'm kind of over this. I mean, I don't know. I guess the last part was good. Like people, I guess I agree somewhat. Like make up your choice. People prey on your emotions. I think that is obvious. Like in when we see in the manosphere people creating channels around how terrible women are, and we see men talking about their experiences with women, it's very obvious these people are yeah are engaging in a sort of weird, just I don't know. It's so annoying. I don't know why I got this video. I was excited and now I'm not. Um, Dimples,
Hi, Demas.
are you driving?
Of course.
No, this is bad. Go ahead quickly. Please be
I'm
safe
not going to
on
be
the
looking
drive.
out at the camera. I'm not going to be. Here's my take on it. I've found over the past 2 years, because women have been responding to men in such a way, and where we're no longer saying, okay, we have to improve, we've got to get better, we've got to do our hair, we've got to keep our bodies. We're not doing that anymore. We're saying those are the things we have to do for ourselves. What men have been doing over the past, what men have been getting, not doing, what men have been getting over the past hundreds of years is not only the ability to keep women in check, but the ability to encourage other women or have other women keep other women in check. When a woman got too independent before, there would always be someone to rein them in. If she was too sexually liberated, there were enough women out there that would drop the H word or the W word on them, and then they would pull them back in. What men are now dealing with is women, as well as, not a lot, but some men that are holding them accountable and saying, hey, here's what you're doing. And because they've been coddled and they've been told for so long, oh, no, you're in charge, you're good, you're wonderful, you're sweet, you're going to be a king, you're all the girls are going to want you, all
Now
the girls
you're
are going to
gonna
love
be a
you.
king.
Huh?
Now you're gonna be a king.
Yeah, you're going to be a king. Oh, my God, you're everything. Because they've been told these things, what the new generation, or maybe learned women, we're going to call them learned women, what learned women have now decided to do is say, hey, honey, come here. Come to the front of the room. You, you haven't been able to pass a test since you were in fourth grade when you sat next to Sally and she helped you out. Does that mean that you're the smartest little boy in the room? The answer is no. And you're asking them to answer the question. And even as they answer the question, their minds cannot wrap around the fact that we're no longer allowing them to say, I'm a king, I'm in charge, I have to be a boss. The evidence is bearing out, and now that women are coming forward and saying, here's the statistics. The statistics say that you haven't been helping the community. The statistics are showing that even when you get that basketball contract and you get out of the community, what you've done is racked up the money and taken it to another community. The statistics have shown that while what's her name? Jessica has gone to college and gotten her degree. What Jessica has done is gotten a PhD and decided to become a social worker and help people in the community. Over and over and over again, what's been happening is that the women of the community has been consistently helping the community and have been carrying the community, and the people who've been getting the credit are no longer able to get that credit. We're not, the younger generation or the learned women are now saying, you don't get the credit for what you haven't done. So now when Abba and Preach gets on here and they start to have this conversation, they start off really good. But then what they do is they turn around and they say, oh, but to make sure that I'm not insulting myself and I don't have to walk back everything that I've been taught, I have to lie to myself and I have to lie to everybody and say there's a both sides argument. If a woman cheats, she doesn't deserve to die. But men cheat more, and for some reason, we haven't found it in ourselves to forgive Lorena Bobbitt yet.
Yeah,
It's 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 almost it's almost mind bending. I've been telling my husband that when I listen to him say, well, oh, this is happening and this is certain things are happening in his world. I've been listening to him, and when he said to me the other day, you know what? I find a lot of women don't like to listen to men complain. I said, well, for the last 40 years, who have you been talking to? Has it been other men? Because I don't know that most men console each other when things are going wrong. You've been telling us, and we've been trying to make it better. When a man has a problem on the job, most often he talks to the females on the job and she assists him. It hasn't been other men that have been helping each other out. It's been the women that's been assisting them. So I think that, oh, I'm parked right away. I think that over time, what's happened is that men have been fed a fairy tale, and because the newer generation or the learned woman is no longer allowing that fairy tale to play out and continue to let it be a fairy tale, they're actually applying the facts and what's actually happened. I think men are mind bending.
yeah. The thing
Um,
is, they they talk about cheating and men cheating so casually.
mhm.
Yet it was about death to the woman who cheats. Like I am very much confused. Like that took me all the way out of the video. I was done after that statement.
Exactly. I think what's happening is what's the movie Inception? Remember, you have to like bend and twist and turn everything, and it's looking like that's what they're doing over and over and over in an effort to solidify their point or to bring it back to, come on, ladies, you have to understand, you have to work with us, or you know, I mean, I hear on other channels, I would hear the YouTubers say things like, hey, you know, what can you do to build a community? And the first answer from most of the men are, we have to work together. When you ask a woman, well, what can we do to build a community? The women have answer. We need this, we need this, we need this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. But men are insisting the building of the community is a together job, but the leading of the community has to be credited to them.
Wait, let me read this. The answer for ABBA is murder. We black women are programmed to protect, provide, and keep secrets to uplift black men. Black women, in some ways, became addicted to suffering to build and raise black family. Look at Tina Turner. Um, so yes, I'm with. And Elisa said she's waiting for Dean or Shea Butter. So Dean or Shea Butter, who is Shea Butter? I don't know. Please come up, and Elisa want to speak with you. Um, Confidence with love, yes. I don't understand how murder became the thing. Like that is such a strange like conclusion to draw. She's cheating on me. Whoop, well, I got one choice. What? What do you mean? What do you mean? Thank you, by the way. Confidence with love. They said the caller is killing it. Go. Um,
And
I
I think the worst part of his argument, when he made that argument that men have issues and women aren't, women don't want to hear it. I think that in itself is a lie.
That is
I
a
mean,
lie.
we have
That
to
is a
admit that
lie.
is a lie
No,
because
no, 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 no.
I.
Wait, wait.
Mhm.
It is not just a lie. The culture tells men to not. Like I had men debate me on here saying men aren't emotional. Women are. Men don't speak about their feelings. Only women do. And there is a push right now by the feminist movement, right, that is telling men to express themselves, right, to speak and to feel. That is coming out of the feminist movement.
Exactly. I find that that was the first lie. The second lie that he told is to marry a woman and be taking care of him. Listen, we live in most of us live in 50-50 households with black men. So what are you talking about? You're at work and you come home and she's cheating and she gets the house. Sir, the apartment? What are we talking about? The
Yeah,
apartment that you share?
yeah, well, that's
Because
the problem, right? Like that scenario is not applicable across the board.
Exactly. But he had to lie. He had to draw from another community to make the liar. They're the best of the mind benders. Have a good night. Thank you.
Have a good night. I appreciate you. Please, please be safe.
Oh, no, no. I stopped. I'm going into my appointment.
All
Good
right, have
night.
a good one. I I'm not for everyone.
Oh, okay, I'm up. Hey, Themis, how's it going?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm completely confused. What in the world was that video supposed to be for?
Okay. Apparently, I was supposed to agree, and I was like, wait, agree with what? The conclusion? Like, I'm, I'm confused. Like, if we're doing an analysis of a video, that is not it.
He went to first blaming feminism to jump into the red pill to we understand that women are been wronged and then turn around. Well, men have feelings too. Yeah, no, duh. We already know that. I don't think you guys are aware that you have feelings. Are you aware of it? I'm just tired of the double talk, honestly. You can't out of one side of your neck say that, oh, we're not emotional, and then in the next minute, but women don't care about our feelings.
Yeah,
If you're not talk, what can I hear with my ears if you're not talking?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't even understand how this is even like. I don't know why someone would. I think the person who sent it might have just went to the back, because they're like, "You're gonna agree," and I skipped to the back too, and they were like telling men to like be better, essentially. So I was like, "Oh, okay." I should have listened to the middle because this is not it. I don't agree with it. I don't like I like objectivity, but objectivity is not neutrality. You cannot be saying both sides. You cannot be pretending like it's the same. Like it's ridiculous.
It's the same thing. Oh, we need to quote unquote we need to build a community, but oh well, no, we're the only the natural leader. You can't have it both ways. You need to pick a struggle and stick with it. Are you the leader or are you equal to me? Which one is it? Because it can't be both.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you are the leader, you then don't compare yourself. Unless you're willing to say you're a feminist and you guys are equal, then 50-50 makes sense and everything else makes sense. But when you make feminism the boogeyman, you don't get to make that argument.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'm not for everyone. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, have a good night. Books.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Themis, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so
Thank
glad I got to
you.
call in.
I'm so
Um,
glad you did too. This is
Thank
your
you.
first
Yeah,
time.
it is, and I listen to you so often, and finally I was like, let me have the courage and just call in. So
Oh, I'm
thank you
glad.
so
I'm
much.
happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Not to mention that I wasn't even expecting you to be here tonight, and I saw live Themis going live, so I pressed the button so quick. I was like, okay, he's here. Here I go.
I appreciate. No, there are 600 people, and I was not supposed to be here. Thank you guys all. I don't know if you like it, but apparently I'm supposed to say please like the video. It's good
Yep,
for
thank you. I would like
all.
right now.
Go
Um,
ahead.
Thank you. So I guess I'm always confused a little bit by these arguments because I find that a lot of men, and I'll say Black men too, just seem to not have this courage to do what it takes to get to where the Black women have gotten at this far. And it's always interesting to me because I think they feel like that Black women were just like given something when we've literally had to fight to even be heard and have space. And I think what's even being heard from us right now, I'm not even sure if it's even being heard within the community. It's like our echoes are just kind of reverberating throughout to reverberating outside of the community. And so these spaces that or these things that they speak about, like people not listening to their woes, it's just interesting because I think I'm confused as to like why they don't talk to each other about their woes or whatever is going on, and why it just has to be a woman listening. Because when they're amongst each other, they don't express anything. And I've grown up being the girl in the group of guys and hearing the crazy stuff that they talk about and the things that they won't talk about. But then later on saying that nobody listens to them. And I'm like, it takes a certain amount of courage to become the man that speaks about the things that you need to speak about. And you can't complain about nobody listening when you won't talk. And I think there just aren't enough men who will be courageous enough to make men groups and do the things that it needs in order for their woes to be heard. And I'm just really confused as to why that is, and then why that becomes women's fault that they won't do that.
Yes. I do think it takes courage, but it also takes an admission, right? Like the
Mhm.
the fact that someone would say like no one want to hear men just doesn't make sense, because it's like, well, women have been telling y'all to speak up for the for the
Mhm.
longest. So like I don't know that the I'm very confused as to why this video was sent to me. I'm actually typing as we speak, asking what I was supposed to agree with. They are sent because I'm very confused.
Yeah, I'm confused too I mean, there's just this like it really, these kind of things make me feel like I'm crazy, or there's like this cognitive dissonance that's just, it almost feels like a trauma response, like this inability to like to actually see and like and understand the fact that, like you said, people are being murdered. Black women are being murdered by Black men, and Black men are being murdered by Black men. So Black men have an issue that's bigger than any issue that they could say that they have on the other side. So I'm just confused I'm like really I'm just always in awe, just like what, how is there just this lack of self-awareness and self-reflection? And another thing I want to say is I think that this is actually a thought I was thinking about earlier. Just like I think that there is really a fear amongst Black men, a fear toward other Black men, where they just won't like that fear makes them go to women like about the issue. Like they won't address each other in the way that needs to be addressed, and they'll just be like, okay, women. And so I'm just always just I sit back and I think about these things. I'm just like, it kind of makes my head hurt because I can't think about it anymore because there's a block, because I get it. But I'm like, am I crazy for getting it like that easily?
Hmm. No, no.
Thank you.
I mean, it is just very difficult for me to like to listen to some of this, because it just feels like they're both siding the sides in the argument in a way that I think it's to like get people to agree with them and change, hopefully, but it's just so disingenuous. It's intellectually dishonest to do it like that. I don't know, like even the way they posit it doesn't make sense, because like take what they say and you're like, yeah, no, that's not what's happening. Men aren't getting married and losing um, half of what they have, causing a ton of men to be out here doing what they do. It's not, that's not why. Now you can say some men, and we would agree that the minority of men, and yeah, we can have that conversation, but you cannot broad stroke in that way. Um, who Who What When says Abba advocate for crime against women. Flagrant 2 when discussing Tinder swindler. Oh, I didn't see that. He said the crime was refreshing. Use the city girls to justify it. Oh, I did not see that. I have not seen that video. Thank you. Thank you again, books. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Bye. Impossible and Annalicia.
Hey guys,
Oh,
you can hear me, right?
oh, how
Yep,
goes it?
I am good. How are you?
I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. Like, it's Friday. We should be elated. Like, thank God it's Friday. And then they
Right.
play this. It's
You
annoying.
want to know something really annoying? Why I'm actually really, really annoyed? I actually thought this was going to be one of those videos where I get to come on and like laugh and say, yes, 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 I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. That's what I thought was going to happen. That was not
Uh,
what happened.
Miss, you're hanging on by a thread. It's admirable, but it's also I'm getting like I feel bad because I know that you need something, you need scaffolding to hold on to be like, no, there are good, there are accountable black men like in this space. I know you need to believe it, you need to see it, it needs to be tangible. But this is the issue that I have. Like it's so circular. Like their logic and men, and I had a conversation yesterday, and men tried to submit that they were more logical than women. Like, what's logical about being in a patriarchy, about men having the loudest voice, the most powerful voice, because they're the law writers, they're the legislation makers, they like they're the government. They literally created the society that we're in and the system with which we're forced to operate within. And then you don't have a voice in said system. Tell me you have low intellect without telling me you have low intellect, right? It's like I don't understand. You have a voice, you have a voice. What you don't have is accountability. What you don't have is courage. That's why you couldn't that's my problem. My problem is that black men, you need to draw a line in the sand, and you have to differentiate yourself from other groups of men. You have to do it. You fell behind. Now the gap is so wide, you cannot catch up, you cannot compete. When your women are outpacing you, your women are outdoing, like now you're looking at men, you have all this resentment for a system that was built for you that you can't really tap into to the same level and extent that other groups of men can. You can't capitalize on it as you can. You still can. You are a man. You still do benefit from a patriarchy if you are a man, but not to the extent that you want to. You can't superimpose the power that you want to have the way that other groups of men can, because you're powerless, because you didn't fight. You don't have courage. You lack leadership because you lack accountability. You want to be women. You want to be kept women. You want to be protected and provided for. Like, what do you want? You
I
have a
actually
voice.
the question of what do you want is interesting to me because I actually don't know what is like I don't know the end result of accepting all the demands coming out of like these men, honestly, because it's so contradictory. You cannot hate feminism but want 50-50. You cannot hate feminism or don't want women to go to work and still want them to pay the bill. You cannot say you are the leader and you are the dominant and you are the superior group while also wanting women to make you leaders and give you a chance to be like it literally makes no sense to me. Like the you say women are more emotional, yet you're advocating offing someone if they cheat on you. Like I don't I don't understand. Like how what like I don't get this is actually upsetting to me. Curry up and eat says mind bending took black men out the home. Reality is just a concept for them. And I've been trying not to speak in these really broad general terms, but the more I speak to people and the more I listen to people, the harder it becomes because even these people, Abba and Preach, who are supposed to be good, and I'm supposed to agree with what they're saying, there is a complete and utter lack of accountability. Like they both sided the argument the entire time. The entire time. Um, Impossible. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say I do agree that the way they were sort of making a I would almost say arbitrary equivalence of men and women's issues was well like I just said, inordinate, is kind of like unnecessary. um I think a lot of times, because I know that Urban Preacher's format is they kind of just like really speak off the cuff about whatever the subject is, like they don't like have any sort of like scripted or pre-planned uh rhetoric to say to the camera or anything like that. That I think sometimes things sort of get lost in a sort of vernacular. I remember before in a video where they were saying that they don't support the red pill, but they understand where it comes from. Like they understand why it got so big. One of the things that they said was that when it comes to men's issues, a lot of times not being, um, what's the word I'm looking for, taken seriously by a lot of people in social circles. Uh, they Abba mentioned something that I think was very poignant, for a lot of social discussion, was that a lot of times people are not looking at certain things from a macro scale. They're looking at things from a micro scale. In other words, they're looking at certain problems from the perspective of their own life, and not necessarily from like a sort of sociological or anthropological point of view. So, and I think that's kind of what I was trying to give voice to in that video. Not that I agree with the way he was equivocating everything, but it's the fact that a lot of people, when he mentioned that a lot of guys, say for instance, feel like their issues were never given enough voice, or just kind of like sidelined. They're thinking not necessarily on the terms of
Okay,
like.
so Impossible. I
Mhm,
don't disagree with you on this, right? But so when we hear men say, "Oh, she did not date me," right? I had someone actually come up and say,
mhm,
they were upset because the lady rejected him, right?
mhm,
And they take that and amplify it through the manosphere, right? And we have a cesspool of
mhm,
negativity. Even
mhm,
if true, right, that these men face rejection, because most of them aren't talking about abuse, most of them are talking about facing rejection, which every human being faces, right? But let's say it's amplified in their mind, right? What happens when you run up against 4 black women being killed per day last year? Like in my mind, obviously this is one of the biggest extreme, because I
mhm,
come to the conclusion of abuse outside of femicide, right? But
mhm,
when you run up against that, what I saw happening was disassociating from it and saying that you are not you're not included in it. So for me, it feels like they're prioritizing minute issues, maybe because of their feelings, over real issues that are causing tremendous amount of harm. Like you being rejected is very different than someone being killed. And I know it's
mhm,
rejection because all of them on, if you look through the comments, I was trying to do this for Fresh and Fit. When they're
mhm,
talking to women and dragging women, these women these men, sorry, keep writing, oh, that's what they get for like thinking they're better than me, and like they're literally talking about how women think they're better than them, and women are not sleeping with them and not choosing them and keep choosing those other men, and only this percent of men are impregnating all these women. They are
mhm.
mad that they are not chosen. Now, there are other issues with men, and I wish the manosphere would address them, but it all centers on women. So the issue being faced, obviously, there's some baby mother drama thing going on, but the main issue, it seems, is being rejected, and men feeling like they're unwanted and rejected, and the manosphere using that to galvanize a base.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with you, and I think that's I recall the first time I ever came on your live stream. That was something that I had mentioned, which is that the way I see a lot of things in society right now, because I try to stay away from too many generalizing terms, because there's way too much nuance in the world to speak in hard generalizing terms. But just for the sake of brevity, uh the thing is, I see a lot of men have legitimate issues and concerns that need to be addressed, but I find the red pill to be sort of like a devious opportunist taking advantage of their legitimate needs. And I think that's kind of what I was getting at when he was saying that you have anger or whatever, but then there's somebody who's coming to capitalize, who's preying upon your anger.
Can I
Um,
can I ask
and
him a question after? Sorry, Impossible. Can I ask you a question after?
Sure, yeah. So I was just getting at the fact, like, say for instance, I know that there's a lot of people who are basically way too salty about being rejected or whatever, and they take that to these really self-pitying extremes to where they foster inordinate ire and vitriol against women. However, when people speak on, say, for instance, men's issues, which I will not in any way try to make an equivalence between that and like black femicide, uh, but the fact of the matter is, there are certain societal things that various men, individually go through that can what's the word I'm looking for, uh, wear upon them as individuals over time. And I think, and I'm not a lawyer, but I think his point was that these guys, they need to acknowledge that their discontent, their anger, their trauma with those things, they need to become more self-aware of it so as not to let people like the red pill community prey upon it. Say, for instance, the thing that a lot of people were talking about, which was how it's generally stigmatized for men to share their emotions. A lot of guys go through that at the hand of other men and of women. And like I remember Alvin Priest also did a video where they were interviewing different women. Obviously, it's not like a full-on anthropological study or anything like that, but uh, they were talking about how a lot of people claim that they want men to be more open with their emotions, but when they do, they stigmatize them for it. They say that they're being weak, they're punk, they're lame, or something like that, or they don't seem as masculine. And this is not to conflate when guys go over the edge and then try to make everything about their emotions or anything like that. But just when guys begin to open up even a little bit, at least this is more or less what I'm saying. It's all anecdotal at this point. I don't have any research to back that up to suggest some sort of like epidemic of this. But yeah, I think that's what people are getting at. So I just wanted to like sort of say that just to clarify the fact that
Can I
I think it's more understood. Yeah, sure.
So I just wanted to ask a question because it's a little confusing to me. So you said that I'm going to talk about Black men. We're in the community. This is sort of our racial purview. We can just keep it relegated to the Black community.
Mhm.
But my question is, you're saying that they have all
Mhm.
of these issues and angst, and they feel as though they're not being heard. They feel as though they don't matter. You said there was this particular articulation. I can't remember what you said. But my question to you is, why would other groups of men or women care or pay attention to the plight of Black men? Like, why would it be advantageous for them, right? Because I would argue that if those are the issues that Black men are experiencing, then they would have to take it up with white men. Wait, I don't understand why it's being externalized to exclusively to Black women. It doesn't make sense to me because you said that they don't feel, I can't remember what you said exactly. They don't feel heard. They don't feel like they're like anyone's paying attention to them. Why would you pay attention to a very degenerate group or a degenerate populace who takes more than they contribute? What, like, how who does that benefit?
Well, I'm sorry.
And
Can you repeat
women
that? You
and
kind of broke up.
women, realistically, women pay attention to who men pay attention to, right? Women pay attention to men who are competing. Black men can't compete. They can't compete with other groups of men, but by and large, that's the reality. So if that is the issue, then they should be and they want to be seen by white men. They want to have a voice. Whose responsibility is it, and why is it externalized? Why is that hate, that vitriol, that angst and anger? Why is it externalized and expressed to Black women?
I think that happens a lot of times because of a confluence of many things. Like a lot of times when I, at least when I'm talking about men not feeling heard or different emotional issues, and I'm not trying to say this to the idea of like I said before, like not to the idea of like making an equivalence between the plight of black men and the plight of black women, because I do think that the plight of black women is much more staggering. Um, However, when it comes to the issues that I'm talking about with men, like perhaps not feeling heard or feeling disenfranchised in some way, I think of that usually more in the sense of like what they're going through in their individual lives as an individual human being, emotionally speaking. Not, I apologize if I'm misconstruing what you're saying, but what you're asking. But when it's not that they don't feel heard or seen by white men or by by like the power structure, but just as an individual, a lot of these guys don't feel heard. The thing I usually go
That's
to as an
that's
example of that.
that's so myopic. That's so, to me, and
No,
I'm
no, no.
sorry,
So what I was getting at,
that's
what,
extremely
what
myopic. That's extremely egocentric. Those are not the characteristics of a leader. Like that. Like that's what I'm
no,
saying.
so
If
yeah,
you can't see the world beyond yourself, you're like you're not going to have a space in the space that you want to have in the world. You're
it's
not going
yeah,
to have it. That's myopia.
Can
That's
I?
how
it's not a matter of
toddlers operate with that
Yeah.
level of egocentrism. Like that's true. That's the
no,
reality.
so what I
Wait, wait.
what I was
Give me 2 seconds.
the
You
point
guys
the
can
point I was
get back
developing
to this.
to.
Wait, wait.
Mhm,
Confidence with love. I'm so sorry. You've been up here for a while. Go ahead. We'll get back to you guys' conversation because I find it quite
mhm.
interesting, and I'll butt in a moment.
So much for allowing me to be up here, Themis. I really
No, thank you
appreciate it.
for
I
your
really rock
time. I
you.
love all of you for your time. Go ahead.
So if I could just interject, Mr. Impossible. Um,
Mhm.
the thing is, if black men are gonna, if they're gonna look, if they're gonna say, I have what I need, um, why don't all black men with whatever problems for the next 5 years go to therapy? Um, so that you can unzip your skin and look at the bloody pulp beneath. Because it's not that humans don't have emotions. Black men have emotions, black women have
Mhm.
emotions. If you're human, you have a limbic system, so therefore you have emotions. What it is black men are going to have to learn that their emotions are perfectly natural, that
Mhm.
their feelings, they get to have them, but they're their feelings. Their feelings are not my problem. Their feelings are not the next black woman's problem. Their feelings are their own. So what's going to need to happen is black men are going to need to do some serious self-study, go to therapy, and manage your emotions. And what that means is you're going to have to learn to look at your emotions and say, okay, so what am I going to do about it? You
Mhm.
can't just always roll off of impulse.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Miss Annalicia said, I hope I got that right. Miss Annalicia said,
Yep.
it's
Elder
not up
Alicia.
to the rest of us to solve that problem. A huge difference between black women and black men is that we are problem solvers. That's why you're here today, because black women created a situation in which we not only survived slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, which we led revolts as black women. It's just, you just have to dig and look for it. You have to also look at your own history.
Mhm.
And then once you do that, you can see what has been placed on black women all of this time.
Mhm.
And once you guys do a dual thing, you'll see that black women are problem solvers. We're not trying to trip. We're trying to we see a problem, We're trying to make it a better thing for everyone. But what I love about the younger generation of Black women is that I feel like now I'm not the only one. I see Black women now saying, so we're not going to be doing this dumb shit. We're just not. We're not going to put up with it.
Mhm.
These Black women are highly educated. They are leaders because leaders solve problems. So, for instance, if I gave
Wait, can
you
I
a
come in for
problem
two
solved,
seconds?
yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't want to forget this comment because someone said black men don't have a right to be angry. I disagree. I think their anger is misplaced.
Hmm.
Right.
I think
Exactly.
I
Yes,
think
And that
I
was
yes,
am
really my point I was
angry.
developing to. That was
yes.
really the point I
The
was
whole
developing to,
wait,
which, you know,
but no, but the idea of like white supremacy, like even saying the word annoys me,
Yes.
right? And so I wanted to address that comment before you go ahead. I don't think it's right to say people generally don't have the right to be angry. I think black men do not, as a group, have a right to be angry at black women. I think you can individualize and have individual
exactly.
problems, but the stats don't bear that out. I think black women collectively have a right, particularly if you're a black woman and you believe in the white leadership, male leadership, right? And you believe that the male are supposed to provide and protect and take care of the community. If you fundamentally believe that, the fact that we're even in America is, in some women's mind, the black man's fault. And that's not fear, because we could have lost the war,
Hmm.
right? History says differently in some cases, but the
Hmm.
truth is, like, if you believe in that, then you need to take ownership. So all these men talking about feminism and dragging feminists, like, unless you're a feminist, you are to be blamed. It is just that simple. Women don't go on rampage killing men because of rejection and hurt, and agreeing that you should kill someone because they cheated, right? Like, women don't belong to men. It's the entitlement for me. That's also part of it. Male privilege at risk. Yeah. All right, go ahead. Finish. Not finish up, but go ahead. Confidence.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a study back in the day about what do men fear from women, and in general, not just black men but men in general fear rejection. And when they ask the women what do they fear from men, they fear being physically harmed. And that is so telling. It's insane to me that black men do not step up and educate yourselves out of your ignorance. That's what education is. That's what we've had to do as black women. That's what I personally had to do, was educate myself out of my ignorance. That is going to require you to read. That is going to require you to study, and not just whatever you take in school, but you should be reading 3 to 5 books a month, because there's so much you need to understand, and there's so many authors out there. If you were to really look at Bell Hooks and read her, you would be able to see what we're talking about without constantly trying to um, show what we feel is a what we know is a false equivalence. So I land right there.
May I finish my point from earlier? I apologize.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
you
I
and
was gonna say.
Alicia were talking.
Mhm,
You and
mhm,
Annalisa can go ahead.
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm not done with him.
Mhm. So I was saying before that when I was making the point that that a lot of men feel disenfranchised to whatever degree that they do individually. The reason the point the answer to your question, Alicia, about why do so many men externalize that anger or frustration to black women, I'm not a researcher in this field or anything like that of anthropology or whatnot, but I I can't help but imagine, from my humble layman's opinion, that that was particularly for what I think I was alluding to, and also to what I had said before, which was that their anger was preyed upon by people, say for instance, like Kevin Samuels or the roommates or what may have you, all these different personalities who I would not put it past them that they know they're saying bullshit, but they're saying that because they know they're going to get a following, because they're feeding into people's egos, into people's anger, into people's frustration. So I think that's a big reason, at least a big contributor to why so many men have externalized that to Black women. And the thing is, to what you were saying before, Confidence with Love, was that why aren't men doing the work to sort of like educate themselves out of these situations? At least from my experience, I have seen many attempts, and one such attempt that I am a part of right now is an organization called Black Men Build. It's not a shameless plug or anything like that, but it was a friend of mine who invited me out to a men's circle that meets every second and fourth Monday of the month, and for us to just discuss and discuss this particular kind of issues that a lot of people that a lot of men find frustration with or find trouble with, or just the things that affects in general as men. And the men's circle is hosted by the organization Black Men Build. People don't have to be a part of it to be there, but nonetheless, I've also seen many other organizations, whether it be based in the church or they be secular, that are seeking to help men to find a healthier version of masculinity. So the thing is, I think with a certain cultural paradigm shift towards a lot of red pill stuff, is because there's a lot of people on the internet that, sort of like not to insult them, but sort of like a moth to the flame, are drawn strongly to something because I think perhaps even more to the point of what Ava was saying, is that a lot of times these resources for men are not as visible as they should be. So like I said before, I didn't like the way that he was making an equivalence between men's issues and women's issues. I'm not sure if his entire point was really to say that, oh, we're all the same and all the same level of suffering. I wouldn't be able to say that for sure. I don't think he was, but nonetheless, it's like there are pushes for men to solve men's issues. However, unfortunately, I don't think they get as much visibility as the dumb shit, because I think for whatever reason in human psychology, negativity sells.
I think solving Black men's issues, let's say Black men, because saying men, that's very confusing.
Yeah, sorry, I was referring to Black men specifically. I was saying men for the sake of brevity, but yeah.
I think it's one thing to say that. Oh, darn it! What did you just say? It just went away, but it'll probably come back. What I think is, I think that what I see in these spaces and what I see actually in my like where I work, what I do, I see a level of entitlement that cannot be, like a thirst that can't be quenched. When I think of people, like psychologically, if you think about a person who can't handle rejection to the extent that they inflict harm, that's a level of entitlement that's pathological.
Well,
that's a level of entitlement that is disordered. And it's not, and I have to be honest, because I've seen the numbers, and I deal with it clinically, but you do see higher rates of narcissism. You see higher rates of personality disorder, antisocial, psychopathy in the Black community. And it makes sense, right? Cause and effect. We can go back to the plantation and bring us up to here. And it makes sense. Like the environment would foster that type of pathology based on the trauma, based on a lot of things happening in the Black community. But I think that for me, that level of entitlement, you can't do anything with it. Like I know that this sounds terrible, but I see that as sort of the catalyst in a lot of these issues, because rejection is a normal part of life. Like women experience rejection as well. Even attractive women attractive people experience rejection. So I wonder if their reaction is about rejection from women, or rejection from the white patriarchy, or rejection from white men, or rejection, like, I wonder who it's from. Like, I mean,
I think it's largely because of a misunderstanding of their own of their own minds. Like, uh, um, it, again, I always concede that I'm speaking from a layman's position, but the thing that I've seen a lot of times with when it comes to guys uh becoming so uh indignant or enraged or enthralled at the first sign of rejection is because they don't know exactly how to truly assess their own masculinity. They see
Can
their
I?
they see their masculinity as being um hung upon their glory as being a stud, or as being some form of a macho guy that no one could say no to, or something like that. And this
I
is the
have a
reason why.
I have a question regarding that. So is
Mhm.
this a matter of we need to be aware of this fragility and approach it with caution in the correcting process? Or, like how, because if they have it and you're saying they have it, we, how do we fix it? Like I don't, because it feels very odd to me that
I suppose education of some sort is, because the thing is with with things like the red pill, or the manosphere, what they do is that they're giving a sort of toxic miseducation. So the only way to fix miseducation is by true education. One resource that I found online just per chance, is not something that's pointed exactly towards black men specifically, but just pointing towards men, towards men, is a YouTube channel called The Fearless Man. And the reason I liked his content was because the sort of advice that the man who runs the channel, his name is Brian, gives is, it seems to me holistic. This is something that I said in the live chat before when Abba was saying that, oh, the skills that get you there, quote unquote, are not the same skills that are going to keep you there. So he's saying like maybe the red pill might be useful for getting you laid and stuff like that. And the thing is, what I said in the chat was, I can see where he was getting at, but I think his comment is still off, because the thing that people a lot of times assess as the skills that quote unquote get you there, they're looking at the wrong thing. They're sort of looking at a sort of surface irrelevance, irrelevant skin. Say for instance, people being brazen or being a bad boy and stuff like that. That's not necessarily, in my estimation, is not necessarily what actually creates attraction. What actually creates attraction is people who are confident, people who are not prisoner to insecurities. People, even if they have insecurities, they're able to still
the thing is,
be in the
like,
moment with
I
a person.
mean,
So
I think
what
maybe
people do
this
a lot
is
of times is that they.
this
Mhm.
is why it's hard for me because like the attraction bit is like a non-starter. Like it doesn't even matter to me. It is the level of abuse that is the problem for me.
Mhm.
And
Can
so
I? Can I?
That's what I'm
I
saying.
was gonna.
The
Can I chime
misattribution.
in there with the levels of abuse? Because I think like that was gonna be my comment, but I think that like that is the basis of this.
wait,
Um,
before you go ahead, let me fatherless black boys become broken men.
bingo.
Agreed. I think fathers should be in the home. I think fathers
Right.
should be in the home. I hope that's what you mean. Because I've seen a comment like this and then it somehow became a woman's problem. But go ahead.
That too, and then
But
also to
Themis,
those who are.
can you have Deanie and Shea Butter come up here, because they can contribute to to the Discord. If they're going to be in the chat, they can easily come up. I don't understand why they're not here.
What's his name? What Shea Butter?
And Deanie, is it Dean or Deanie?
Yeah,
Dean.
that's
It's
Houdini
Dean. It's
mentioned.
Dean.
It's Dean.
Um,
Yeah.
I didn't see Dean's comment, so I can't comment on him. But Shea Butter, I saw your comment. Yeah, this is a call out. For the moderators, do not let Shea Butter speak unless he comes up. When I see Dean's comment, because he started trolling in the beginning, but when I see his comment again, then he'll get banned also. Go ahead. I think AD was speaking.
Mm.
I was just gonna say that I came on here to address, I think, something that they didn't talk about in the video, and that I think would give probably better context to how to move through this is, something we always try to look over, especially men when they talk about men's issues, especially the broader culture when we're talking about sexual assault, is that boys get sexually assaulted at high rates. I think it's 1 in 6 is the possible statistics. And so when we ignore this, and that's a general, that's not towards the Black community, but when you add in the amount of trauma and oppression and yada yada yada, you can imagine that those numbers may be higher. But we ignore this and we don't talk about it. And when we talk, and when our society in generally is talking about again, explicitly or implicitly, what it means to be a man. When kids, young boys, are 6 and 7 and 5 and learning and hearing finally what it means to be a man, stop crying, all these things, we don't then address with them, or they don't address within themselves or with other men being sexually assaulted and what that experience was like, because that puts them closer to a woman. Even when I hear people talk about this conversation, they constantly are like, well, we're not talking about men, we're talking about women and women. But I think a lot of young boys and young men deal with sexual assault at the hands sometimes of women and also at the hands of men.
Yep.
And to be told your entire life that, you know, to be a man, and even in terms of what power means, and having this idea that men are supposed to take sex, and if sex was then taken from you, what does that mean you are? And then what are you going to continue to do for the next however many years, the rest of your life, to then, one, not address that abuse, and then two, to push back and say, even though this thing was taken from me, I'm a man and I'm going to take, and this is what's important to me, me. You know, and I think some of these discussions don't happen because it really is, I don't know if y'all have ever seen the visual of like a cabinet with a bunch of dishes and the dishes are falling over, and if you want to open the cabinet, all the dishes are going to have to come down and break, you know. And I think that that's a situation that a lot of men end up in once they are in the dating age, once they are past adolescence, is we get to a point where they don't want to even open the door for anyone, or only to women, because they've been told their entire lives you can only be emotional with women, you can only have gratification and feeling connected to another human being if it is with a woman. And yet they're also being told that they're looking for gratification from men constantly. And so I just think that the combination of those things don't put men, or don't give, I don't want to say put men or give men, because that's taking the accountability away from them. But I think we often are engaging with men who haven't done the real personal hard work, because in doing that, unfortunately, with the way that their logic has been built, they would then have to identify themselves with women. And what is that going to do to their self-image? What is that going to do? And the reason why they treat women, or they view women as this thing to have and have power over, is because they don't have power over other men. You know, they aren't like other people were bringing up
Yeah, but
earlier. They aren't doing things with men. Yeah.
At least he was getting it.
that is essentially the part of the huge problem that I have. The conversation always kind of, not, you didn't do this by the way, but goes back to a very specific kind of what I think most people would call coddling. Because I think in some ways we understand we are oppressed, right? Like that, but women are too, and it feels like we keep
Mhm.
wanting women to
Well, women are forced
understand.
to face, we're forced to face our oppression every day through things, whereas men are told to face their oppression while also being told they're stronger than the women. And so I think it's that dichotomy that really fucks with them, because we have to work through our issues. We have to, and not all the time, but there is more of a pressure on women to deal with these things, because apparently we're more emotional, and we can easily do that more than men. You know?
So, but what does that mean? Is it now? I mean, obviously, fairness goes through the window. Are women now supposed to sort of work with men? Like, I
No,
don't know what the. So,
no.
how will men get to the point of, like, obviously a
I
formal education can, but it doesn't. Hopefully,
No, I think they need people around them. They need men specifically around them, like I think it was brought up earlier, to again open the door, or to say you're not less of a man, or I understand that the world is, you know, telling you have to be a man, you have to do this and do that, but you're
But what
not
if
less
by
than, in giving those
wait,
spaces.
but what if by the standards put forward, you are less of a man? for men? If like, what if the
Then
standards are
that's the discussion though. I think that is, and that's what we as black people are doing constantly. And I think this, it also stems like, why do black men feel like they are unwanted or don't deal with that? Because realistically in this world, and I feel like I've always dealt with this, which is I can tell myself that I'm valuable and that I have value, and I know that I have value inherently and that there are people around me who care about me. But I do know that realistically my life does not have the same value in society, and I can be thrown away and I can be murdered or victimized and it won't mean anything. And so there is a constant struggle within each person to, and again I think that that's a personal responsibility, is to figure out, okay, I may be less than what the world is telling me I know inherently am, but that's the battle. Either you have to agree with what the general society or what you feel like you're being told that is the standard, or you have to do the hard work to work within yourself to say, these are the things that I understand that make me strong as a person, or these are the things that I truly experience, not denying it, not saying it didn't happen, but then finding strength. And this is like shitty, but this is what we all have to do, is find strength in who we are through our trauma, not, necessarily in spite of it. But, I think that's the biggest issue, is that men, one,
the
especially
thing is,
black men,
I don't,
aren't valued.
I
It just
don't,
I just
I
I
don't.
can okay.
Wait, 1 second. I don't disagree with you. The question is what now? Because I the solution, if we're thinking about who can based on the paradigm put forward now, it seems like black women can, and that makes me very uncomfortable in that are black women now supposed to make us leaders? Like, I don't know what to do with it because ultimately, if we are in a situation where the patriarchy, blah, 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 men, the women won't let us lead, all of that, right? If we're in that situation and we have these emotional triggers because of our position, and women were able to figure out their emotional trigger, what is the conclusion? Like,
I think the
what?
solution is what you were what you and Alicia and I think Conference with Love were alluding to before, which is basically men taking up the mantle of addressing other men. I mentioned on many streams ago that I was part of a summer program. I was a youth coach for a summer program, and since I'm a guy, I was working more with the boys. It's like ninth, 10th grade age students. My martial arts teacher, who's the male empowerment coach, he one time held a male empowerment class, and then a couple of the boys, like he was teaching them like a sense of masculinity through brotherhood and stuff like that, and the boys were more excited for the fact that we were going to have like a little sparring session, if you will. It's really more like a wrestling thing. At any rate, two of the boys were really angry at each other already. So like they were basically put forth in the circle by the other boys to like, oh, they should go first. And the reason that the boys, who were also cousins, were really angry, I'm like really angry, like shaking, they can't hold themselves together angry, was the reason they were so angry at each other was because one called the other one a punk and the other one took offense, and then, they kind of started a fight and blah, blah, blah. And the main thing that I found was very profound at that moment was that when my martial arts teacher simply asked them, why are you so angry at him? And he said, well, because he called me this, that, and the third. And then he said, so let me get this straight. You're ready to, because when he asked him how angry are you, how are you feeling? He's like, man, I want to kill this dude. And then when he asked him, he said, let me get this straight. You're ready to kill your cousin because he called you a punk. And the thing that I was, I found really interesting was that you could see on the boy's face that he was thinking about it almost in a way as if nobody had ever really asked him what
So
his emotions
black
were really
boys
about.
need fathers.
Yeah,
Indeed,
that's
and
like
it's
we could
like
talk about
fathers.
you're talking about a symptom that is the result of not having a father and a positive male role model to model the positive masculine behavior, emotional regulation, and output. This is what you're describing. So again,
Indeed.
it's cause and effect. So we could talk about what these boys and girls are going through all day, but the source, the catalyst, it's still the same. Like it's the same. I think that in order to move forward, we have to acknowledge who the weakest link is and always has been. They are the weakest link. They're the catalyst. This is I don't know when it hasn't been this way. I'm trying to think of, even on the plantation, it was this way. I'm trying to think when in North American history when that wasn't the narrative. Like I'm like
So
stay in the
who are you?
house and
Who
raise
are?
your children. Like
Wait, no, no, no,
I'm
no.
sorry. So
Wait,
who were you considering the weakest link?
black men are the
Okay,
weakest.
I just wanted you to say it. Thank you.
So London Link says, so we just gonna ignore the conflict resolution that the guy said. I don't think we should ignore this, because I do think it's really important. It is. I don't think it was ignored. The fact that there was a conflict resolution was what cued me to saying, "Oh, they needed that. They need figures in their life who can help them to manage their emotions." The problem, sorry, the problem is we consistently put the burden of teaching young boys how to be men on women who apparently, I mean, apparently we don't know how to do it as a community. And so there is not going to be a good black man, impossible, and the person who's around who's going to tell the next black boy that killing someone for calling you a name is bad, right? Like, and so how do we make that a part of the culture instead of like maybe we saved one or two or three of them, and maybe that's what we're going to have to do until we get the culture together. But it doesn't, I think there's a bigger issue at hand here, and I do I don't agree with the full extent of what Annalisa said, but I do agree that that was a symptom, and that the problem is much bigger.
I mean, but
I,
the also the problem is that what are the mentality of the men that black men push to the mantle of manhood? What is the mentality of those men that black men hold to this high standard in teaching other black men? Because we can see by social media the black men who have become who have gotten a million subscribers. We can see the mindset of those men and tell that by the large amount of people, the large amount of black men that are following them, what the mindset of the majority of the black men are. Like if the majority of black men, if Kevin Samuels has, I'm sorry, KS has over 1 million followers, with his mindset and the rhetoric that he's spewing, then that lets us know, that gives a perception of what the mindset of most black men are. So you can say that we need black men who will lead the pack and who will push and direct other black men, but if the black men that other black men are choosing to be their leader, if that black man has a horrible mindset and is teaching them things that are not beneficial to the black community as a whole, then that in turn in itself will not be beneficial to the black community as well.
And also, I just want to additionally, I think you have to look at the a more broad and cultural piece that's missing, because it's one thing to talk about, we're talking about mentorship and fatherhood, but if you look at the culture in the black community, it's very much predicated on pump and dump. And this can be implicitly said, or they will explicitly say they don't give a fuck about, sorry, I'm so sorry, Themis, they don't give a about these kids. So
Oh, we've been
mentorship,
demonetized already. You're fine. We can curse.
mentorship is not a priority. Mentorship is not a fabric or a tapestry in the fabric of our culture. It is just, so you're talking, and we've said this before, this is a cultural revitalization, because culture, and it's like an intersectional relationship. The culture affects the your mentality, right? And then morals, values, all of these, behavior, all of these things are affected by culture. So if you're looking even at the core, like at a baseline level, I think that in the black community, the culture, it's the most degenerate. And I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues. He's a white man, and I know people don't like to hear this, because obviously this is anecdotal. Although there's are statistics, and it can be empirically said to be true. But when they look at the Black culture and what they subscribe to, they say, hey, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. I don't expect my son or my daughter to come home and subscribe to the ideologies, to that, like it's they're entertained, right? Black men are living, they're living that lifestyle. Like they're profiting from it, they're living off of it, they're perpetuating it. And other groups of men, other groups of people are just like, hey, it's entertaining, it's like cool, but it's not, you got to get married, you got to go to school, like that's not the life that you're supposed to live. By and large, you have groups of degenerate men and women in all cultures and all races. Yes, this is a fact. But like when it comes to their culture and what they're willing to accept and subscribe to versus what they're not, they take nothing from the Black community, not anything, like they not anything that they're going to live by, right? Culture vulture, that's different. Culture appropriation, that's also different. But they're not, it's about money, it's about entertainment. Whereas for Black people, I'm going to say Black men, this is who they are. It's they're living this life in front of the camera, and when the camera stops rolling. And this is embedded, this is the tapestry in the fabric of the community. It absolutely is a part of it. Nobody could tell me it's not.
May I
Uh,
please follow
Yeah,
her, please?
you
Oh
can. Love your
dear,
content. Thank you, Juana. I appreciate that. Also, Foreign Man in Foreign Land, please join the men's panel on Sunday if you can, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go ahead. Sorry, Nico.
okay. Hi, Themis, and I love your big brain panel. I love everyone up here and the
Thank
thoughts
you.
that's being out there.
Thank
Oh,
you
the
so
lady
much.
that was in the middle, AD, hit me in the heart. So I had to show my face for this one. So you can see that, like, this is a genuine conversation. And I'm a part of the unsafe group of Black women, the pump and dump culture. And no one didn't tell me this 42 years when I got here. So that's why I was saying we came in at the wrong part of the planet. And there's this spirituality that Black people possess, that Black girl magic that everybody talks about, that Black men abuse until they don't have access to it anymore. And then they're facing this turmoil. So it seems like what my sister just said. Oh man, Black men are color coding us, trying to get to white wealth, and when it backfires on them because of the way the system is set up, oppression wise, then they blame us for not adhering to at least some level of unity and loyalty. Most of us that see that. My passion is children. I walked into a room of a lady that I thought shared the same passion, and I got clowned out of it, and I didn't realize I wasn't in a room with Black women, even though we all were Black women. And a lot of the whole world works through sex, and everybody is marketing themselves, and that's always going to put dark-skinned Black women at the bottom of this societal mess. It's chaos. And now that we're going into like a society of technology and it's moving away from cultures where we were more to ourselves and segregated, Black men are trying to get the same wealth of the men that are creating the chaos. And in turn, it's like they're not understanding what they're doing wrong. And then they're using the women that's giving them the strength and magic and leaving us with this load. And then the world are watching the strength that we have. Like, it's sad. And then the universe works in tandem with us. It really genuinely does. I know this for a fact. And there's really going to be no one that's going to be able to get away with this toward us. But people keep trying, and it's hurtful. And then it's like, I didn't know this. I wasn't even aware of this. What I was saying about the lady, they were in there, and her whole content is evolved around finessing dark skinned Black men because they were like, she has a whole community over a lot of women, hundreds, that they feel Black men are the cause of the world's problem. And they're just going to get money out of them. So when I was asking a question related to children, because I thought that was our common ground, she just embarrassed me in front of the room and referred to me as the girl Shay from the Fresh and Fit and say, I better not ever walk into a room. And so it's not just
Oh,
Black men. It's like it's amongst everybody where everybody understands what this is, but nobody wants to say it out loud. And for those of us who aren't articulate enough to actually understand what that is or how to move around it, it's like over and over you take it personal. I learned to stay out of rooms. I learned to not, take things personal. It's a war zone. And
I
everybody knows
I
who the target is.
I don't like that you said you learned to stay out of rooms.
I come
That
here,
just
but yeah.
that kind of cut deep. I hope you're meaning like specific YouTube rooms and clubhouse rooms or whatever, and not rooms as a sort of general sense for space occupied. Because you have a right to occupy your space, and you are articulate. You sound amazing.
Very.
Um, so
Thank you.
I don't like that, but I do appreciate you for coming up. And
Thank you,
I
famous.
yeah. Go ahead. I think the other person was the Black Audacity.
Oh no, I had spoke already. I spoke about the mentality of the black men that are being ushered to the top to actually speak for black men and give representation for black men, and how they themselves are making a mockery of black men and are not beneficial at all to the black community. But these are in fact the men that black men are choosing to usher to the front and to speak for them. And I don't know if black men don't notice that those men are a horrible representation for them, because they literally give these men the power to be their representation, and they think that in there it's like black men almost live like delusionally, like they have cognitive dissonance,
I
and they
mean, wait. So the point you made, I agree with regarding the representation of Black manhood. Because so when I was in undergrad years ago, I'm old. We were actually doing research on um, sex tourism and sex trafficking, particularly, and it was all about how white men, particularly, went out of their way to go to different countries that were poor. I talked about this too on my one of my community posts,
Good
and
old sex tourism.
yeah, I mean, I lived
and
in
that's been
Jamaica.
going on since I was a little girl in the
Yeah, I
80s
mean,
and
it
90s.
peaked in during the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I
but
mean, they were going to get. I remember when I was a little girl, they were going to. White men were talking about going to Russia and getting Russian brides.
yeah,
Same thing
well,
that Trump did.
no,
I mean, Trump, two or three of his brides are from Russia or from
well,
that
but
part of the
the thing
country. I
is,
mean, that's part of the world.
when I think about it, like these men who did it were white. Again, I was in Jamaica. I've seen this up close and personal happen in Jamaica, right? But then I came here and I knew on sort of like an academic theoretical level that this was white men doing, and they don't talk about it, right? And it's bad to see black men doing it online. Like these are the people who have the microphone right now saying, I am going to go out there and do this, and you should get your passport for this reason. I mean, that is degenerate behavior, like legit degeneracy. Like who does that? And so I do feel what you were saying, the black audacity, particularly when it comes to, well, if this is not your image, why are you allowing these people's microphone to grow so big in Trump's voice, bigly?
Exactly, because the when you look online, the majority of the very large platforms that are headed by black men are the people who lead those platforms seem like complete degenerates, and their messages are horrifying to most of the general public. But black men believe that their word is God, and it just goes to the mentality of the majority of black men. I don't understand why every time we speak of black men, it's always excuses given to them as to, well, they need somebody to assist
That's
them, or
true.
they need somebody to give them direction, or they need somebody to lead them. It's like we do understand that black men and black women are growing up in the same exact community,
Yeah. Yep.
that we are growing up
Oh,
adjacent to each other in the same homes, in the same
But I think it's
community.
that the men want what the white patriarchy has shown
yeah, but it seems like they're taking the worst parts of like I'm not, I am for looking at the world and seeing how people do things and then collecting parts and doing it better. But it's like, why you want the worst part?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the
black women are
Brazil.
I'm sorry.
The Brazil documentary is what I saw. When I saw the Brazil documentary, and then I saw some people in the manosphere talk about passport. That's why I made that post, by the way. Yeah, this documentary, I saw it. I was like, whoa! Like they just went there and just did. They just were horrible, like horrible. And I didn't know black men engaged in this. I mean, obviously I knew theoretically, but like for them to be this vocal about it, I was like, yeah, we need to take note of who's doing this because this is the problem. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean,
Nothing. I
And I
just
the
wanted
black,
to
the
sorry.
women,
that.
the women in those communities don't want black men. I mean, if they can get a
They want a visa.
green card or a citizen or get citizenship out of it, that they will be happy to do so. But they're gonna, if black men are going to other countries, they are going to get the prostitutes in those countries, the poorest women in those countries. So them leaving America thinking that they're going, they're leaving the women who actually birthed them to go and find prostitutes and bring over more diseases than they already have over here. I mean, it's just
I
it,
think
it's literally
You
mind
know,
boggling.
Yeah.
I
I
was just gonna say that,
I,
like, I think it goes back to the fact that there are a lot of black men who look at what was done to the black community less as this was something that was bad because it ethically is wrong, but more so because it was other men outside our community reaping the benefits and being able to do the hedonistic things. And so that's why we're seeing men flock to these other men who are like, yeah, do these hedonistic things, like take, like, because that's what they want. They didn't look up and say, this is fucked up, like we need to dismantle this system. A lot of black men looked up and said, it's fucked up that I can't get that. These other men are getting it, so I should get it.
yes.
That was just the point.
Right.
She's exactly right because this is like and I actually I heard black men saying this before when because I was listening to a live it was Irene's, it was Themis, you have to listen to it, you have to listen to it. And I really hope maybe you could do content on it. It's about it's about rape on the
Wait,
planet.
I have a question. Is Irene Yvette? Are those the same
Yeah,
people?
it's her, but this
Oh, yeah. Good. I
it's
got it.
famous. If you do content on this particular, it's about R on the plantation and sexual abuse amongst slaves. And it's weird because you would think that the mentality or I mean, maybe the attitude, the sexual attitudes that black men have towards black women, you would think that it would change and it would evolve and transcend the slavery sort of buckery, the buck mentality. Like you would have thought that they would have evolved, but I literally had, there was a conversation being had and black men said, well, white men on the plantation raped you first, right? Like so
Oh,
it's the idea that, well, they did it, we're also men and we can do it. And in fact, black men were engaging in some of the most deplorable, the most derelict and violent behavior towards black women. And there were instances where black women, tried to push back, tried to say, hey, you don't have to do this, right? Like tried to, and black men said, no, 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 you're going to listen to the master, you're going to, and these were children, these were 12-year-olds, these were 13-year-olds, these were 16-year-olds. And black women were chopping off the master's penises, and there were small revolts, and they were trying these young little girls, and these grown men, the biggest, the strongest on the plantation,
wait,
would
wait,
go.
wait. Her channel, I think it's called the Radical Conser. What is her channel again?
It
It's
The
called
is
the
Radical.
the
radical
radical
conservative.
conservative. Yeah, I think it is.
Uh,
But
Yeah,
it's
the
it's
radical
really
black
good.
conservative.
But
uh,
no, I don't want to go too deep into it. Themis, I just want you to listen to it. But I wanted to say that black men, when it comes to their image, everything that black men complain about, in my estimation, is their own doing. Like they complain, single mothers are a problem. You're complaining about yourself. Our image is ruined and destroyed and degenerate. You're complaining about yourself. We have no power in the system. You're complaining about yourself because you're not fighting the system. You're not acquiring power. We're being created. We're becoming hashtags every 2.5 seconds because of you. Because of you. Because I'm sorry, and I know people don't like to hear it, but I'm sorry. If you're not going to advocate on your own behalf, it's not a woman's job. Look at what's going on. Like right now, men are going to fight the war and the women and children are staying back. Like that's your job to fight. You advocate on your own behalf. You fight in the acquisition of power. That's you. Black men, every complaint that I've ever heard them have, even rejection, it's your fault. If she didn't choose you, you weren't supposed to be chosen. She's right not to choose you. Like it's them. They're complaining about themselves. It's like it's diabolical to me. I don't get it.
I
And
will.
I
I
I
will.
mean,
really
I've
think
heard.
that,
I will
you're
wait. I will wait.
absolutely right.
I will. I will
Oh,
watch that because I usually do. So I'll watch it. I today was really busy. Like I had too much work, but I will definitely look at that if it's up.
But it is sad. Themis, I really want you to dissect it, but I'm telling you right now, it's heartbreaking. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
I think that's why it was so important too when I was saying that as black men, you're going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to um let me turn it around and say, what because I primarily work with children too, and black women. And what I teach black women is you have power. It hasn't been taken from you. It hasn't been, you haven't given it away. It is here. It's just been pushed down by pain and trauma. And my job is to help you unpack that so we can get to your power. And there's this thing for black men. I raise a son, I raise a daughter. They're just two different people, but my daughter is goddess born. I have learned over time that we all need to protect her. We all need to uplift her. We all need to make sure she's safe and she can be who she is. So she can evolve in her power. Um, so for black men, it's this weird thing like you want me to do all the getting educated, raising the children, going to work, protecting you, marching for you, doing the most, put my legs in a V whenever you want. Oh, and my favorite, submit to you. At the same time, you want to take that without doing any of the work. Like you don't want to educate yourselves. You don't want to do what I've had to do. Believe me, you don't want to drive to your own delivery and have three contractions along the way. That's not what you want to do. So there isn't an easy way out of this for black men. What it's going to require is that you need to go to therapy. What if you haven't noticed that the KSs and the red pills or whoever that is out there, they never tell you to read anything, do they? Because let me tell you what, unless you read and practice reading, you won't be able to comprehend information. The reason I'm powerful is because I'm able to consume and comprehend information. Nobody
It's
gave
so
a damn
funny.
that I was dyslexic.
It's
I just
funny that
kept
you said that reading is so fundamental. I co-sign that 1,000%. So I also in undergrad read the Moynihan Report, and we did a bunch of reporting on white spat and how it was racist and all that stuff, right? And then I
Mhm.
saw people talking about it, like quoting it, black men quoting it as if it's helpful to them. And I started this huge project because I wanted to create this video debunking it, but I needed more people to cite it. I was so annoyed because none of them read it and they kept citing it. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be good. But thankfully, other content creators actually went and read it. And now no one in the manosphere quotes it anymore. But yeah, I think reading is definitely fundamental. I was waiting for that. But in doing my research about it, I realized another content creator, I think Cynthia G, read it out loud. And so, yeah.
Oh, surgical. She was surgical with it. But I think confidence with love. I love the therapy. I love therapy. If I could be in therapy for the rest of my life, I would. That's how much I
Yeah.
love it. But I also think we have to be more realistic because people who like outside of being court ordered, you have to seek therapy, but you also have to have a level of self-awareness and introspection to say, hey, there's a problem and it might be me. And what I see in practice, Black men by and large do not see themselves as the problem. And if you look all across YouTube, platforms are predicated on external problems, externally and but exclusively, unilaterally. Just it's the system, it's whitey, it's the baby moms, it's our kids, it's weave. So I think for Black men, their mentality, their worldviews, the way that they see themselves in the world is antithetical with someone who is going to want to seek therapy. I think it would be a paradox, and that's why you see the numbers are so low. They're detrimentally low, and really, I don't even. They've always sort of been that way. So, and you know who seeks help at the lowest clip? People with personality disorders. Like, I'm going to be honest, narcissistic
Yep.
people, they're good, they're perfect, the world around them is the problem, their mother's the problem, their sister's the problem, their community's the problem, their government is the problem, the mailman is the problem, right? So I think that, and there's data you can extrapolate all of these things from, because these instances of narcissism are happening in higher rates among disenfranchised and marginalized and criminalized people, but that's just the reality. But yeah, I think it's a lot to say to ask for them to seek therapy when they inherently and innately do not believe that they are not they are not the problem.
Yeah, because
I
the
can't
thing
wait,
the
wait,
thing is
Huh?
that
wait. Let
narciss.
me see.
Okay.
I want to read this comment. Sorry, I can't believe they tried to use a Moynihan report. My when I heard the first person I heard said it about taking them out of the home was Kevin Samuels. When I said my mouth dropped to the floor, like I literally went back to try to open my email to find all those like papers that were submitted on it because I was so ready. I could not believe that there was a black person, man or women, um, citing to the Moynihan report as evidence of anything in the black community. And then you want to talk about race? I just started laughing. Like it was a mess. So he obviously didn't read it. None of the men following him read. Like if you read it, if you even Google, like if you Google anything in that administration, you will see how racist they were. They did not like black men and hate black women. They didn't, and in fact they didn't even care about black women because like black women womanhood was kind of tossed to the side, and the issues in the black community or any community is usually blamed on the man and the man lack of leadership. So it was men abandoning women, and the fact that they cited to it, I was like, oh my god. So
Are
Well,
you
one of
it
going to
y'all
just
do
think?
it
content
just
on it,
gave
Themis?
evidence that
Go
they
ahead.
didn't
Are
that
you
they
going to
it
do
just
content
oh.
on
Huh?
it? Are you going to do
I'm,
content on the Moynihan report?
I am not because the live. I'm pretty sure it was Cynthia G. I don't know, but
Yeah, she did a
they
wonderful job
I
with it.
think he
yeah they
cited
broke it down,
like
and I was just like, I'm not. I don't. I'm fine.
But the fact that black men they don't read things, and then they will hear something that another black man says, and they will run with it for the next 20 years without comprehending it, without reading it first, without a comprehension of it. And just because they believe that it exonerates them in some way, shape, or form is sad within itself. And like the woman was saying, in reference to some of the psychiatric diagnosis that black men may have, narcissism and sociopath, and someone who's a sociopath,
Yeah,
it's
antisocial.
hard to those type of people. There's no like going to therapy would probably not be beneficial to them because they lack, for one, they lack empathy, and for two, they don't believe that they are accountable for any of the things that are happening to them. So regardless of what the therapist says, they've already got their mind made up that it's not them.
Well, antisocial
Wait.
personality
Go
disorder, they don't lack empathy.
No, not I didn't say antisocial personality disorder. I said sociopath.
No,
And
that's sociopathy. So
and
sociopathy
and
is sort of derivative of antisocial
yeah,
personality disorder.
sociopaths do lack empathy.
No, they don't. They have
Sociopaths and
empathy, but
psychopaths.
they have empathy for select. So they might have it for their mom, and it might
Right,
be so empathy is it's like it's a spectrum disorder, right? So they
right. I know.
might
I'm a psychiatric nurse, so I know.
no, and so I'm just saying even I think it's psychopathy. Psychopathy, they're completely devoid,
It's
completely
you're talking
devoid
about psychopath,
of
and
empathy.
they a lot of black men are psychopaths, and a
No,
lot
there
of them.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I think that black men are operating at the highest rates with psychopathy and sociopathy, but there are differences between antisocial personality and psychopathy. We can get into that probably not today because that's not what the stream is about, but
Yeah, I mean,
the Moynihan report was literally an indictment on their antisocial personality disorder, their weakness, chronic weakness.
yeah,
But and
wait,
they
wait,
but
Miss Fun,
somehow
wait,
but
one
somehow they
second.
believe that, but
First,
somehow they interpreted
wait,
it
wait,
as
wait,
something totally
wait. The
different though.
black audacity. The, am I muted? No. Um, can you guys hear me? Shake your head if you can
I
hear me.
can
Oh,
hear you
got it.
now.
I
So,
can hear
You
you.
were
Your
going
mic
in and
is
out at
your
as
mic
first.
it
is weird
relates
though.
to the sort of really, is it
Hmm.
fine now?
Is it just me that's hearing the
Is
feedback?
No,
it
you were
fine?
going in and out thing. You were going in and out for a minute.
Oh,
You're
my
good now.
bad. I probably was too close. I this is the headset. As it relates to the sort of psychological breakdown, I took one psych class in undergrad. I have no clue. But on the Moynihan report, I do have a clue. It was written in 1965, originally published in 1965, like right around the end of the Civil. Wait, you don't need to know anything about this report to know that. Well, Patrick, obviously, but you don't need to know much about it to know that you must be sort of critical in going and talking about it, right? So, like, the fact that there are people, I'm sorry, we are not talking about this today, but the fact that there are people who actually used it in any way, black people, the fact that there are black men specifically who cited to this report indicated to me that they were not, absolutely not reading it at all. None of them, none of them, any black man who read that report would never, ever cite it. It just wouldn't happen. So it's interesting to me the people with the loud voices, Kevin Samuels, calling him by name because he's the first one who said it, where I just lit up because I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. Um, the fact that he cited to it and so many other people referenced it meant none of them, millions of followers, and no one read it. Like, like people just came back and just regurgitated and didn't read it. I was
And
I
also,
Yeah.
And then the thing is, you have men, you have they literally have boys and males in the Gen Z population who we know how young they are, who are who have heard Kevin Samuels and other black men state these things about welfare taking the man out of the home, and now they are actually regurgitating it. And this generation, that is a generation who's never even lived with welfare. Like, so, like, what are you talking about? It's just like you're passing it on, you're using this as a crutch, and you're passing on to even younger males who are also, now they are also regurgitating this misinformation, and they are spewing it as well.
even
And
Kevin
team is
Samuels was at the time that that report was put out. So that I was just like confused all the way. But like you said, Themis, they didn't read it. They definitely weren't trying to comprehend anything other than to like make it like a Bible verse or something to prove their point. But they also didn't recognize the things that happened around that, because black women were going to work. Not every single black woman received welfare. A lot of black women were just working like we always did, and raising children. But let's say that some of the women that the Monahan report was really looking at, those women were going from their homes, and also, let's say, riding buses to work and things like that, leaving their kids to be kind of latchkey kids, that type of thing. And they found within a couple of years that all of these young black girls, 12 to, I think the average age was 14, but somebody kind of disputed that, another black woman who was studying it, and those girls came up pregnant. And it wasn't the little boys, it was the men, you know. So again, we
Ew.
have black men taking advantage of a situation, in which black women are trying to work and upgrade themselves. And the reason I'm saying that black men need to go get therapy, they need to be self-aware, they need to be able to have their emotions, of course, and they need to be able to manage their behaviors, is because that's a part of the process they're going to have to go through. Now, whether they do it or not, I don't know. But what's happening with a lot of black women is what I'm preaching. Black women, you need to start protecting, keeping safe, and holding sacred black women and black girls, and your black young boys. You know, that's what we need to be doing. We can no longer be marching for black men, or they need to handle their own problems with white men. We've handled problems with white men. You know, you need to do all of that, because girls are literally being murdered, mutilated. So while we've been teaching our girls, and I was taught the same thing, you better get your education, you better do this, you better do that, because you know what? Whoever you get with, they might not stay with you even if you marry them. That's what I heard growing up. So I was pushed and I became an RN, and then I increased my education while I was raising children as a single parent. I'm married now, but I raised them myself, working full time and going back to school. So I do not want to hear excuses and bullshit from black men. What I need you to do is just what I tell white women: be accountable and responsible for your badass behaviors, be accountable and responsible for your badass choices, and that those choices that you make have a real time and real life impact on the rest of us. And you want me to feel sorry for you? I do not. You don't feel sorry for me.
Can
You
you guys
picking
hear
off.
me? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
think
can hear you.
I think my
So
mic was
I wish
acting up.
that I'm not going to say black men are going to do what I'm saying as a solution, but I can tell you that's a solution. Now, whether they do it or not, I guess that's grown folks' business. But I'm saying don't come to sisters. Don't come to sisters, because we're moving on. We're
Yeah.
moving on.
Thank you. Oh, she's frozen, I think. Uh, no, all right. So thank you. Oh
Say
my God,
say
that
what
was
you're
great.
gonna top off.
Yeah, you said you're hopping off. Possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I think what we're observing in real time is a sort of a culture war, because I think that at least in my experience, I've seen a lot of men, a lot of black men particularly, push back. I don't know how much of a percentage I can say of black men in general, but um, push back against a lot of the toxic ideologies that have come forth or become very popular on the internet. And I think, like I was saying before, is that a lot of times these things don't have the same kind of visibility that, say, the red pill does. And I think what needs to happen, if as a proposed solution, is that just it may come off as very simple, but the thing that needs to be done, I think it just needs to be more proactivity on the part of the black men um, who can see the folly of these strange platforms and whatnot, um, because they without that sort of pushback, then the people who like I said, I do believe that there's a lot of um, uh, issues that many black men, whether from boyhood all the way up into adulthood, suffer from. Without that proactive voice of genuine, holistic, wholesome masculinity being put forth, they're going to almost like gravity, just fall towards the loud stupidity of the red pill. And
Dean, wait. Dean, no, Dean, you haven't said any of that. Stop. All you do is
so because the thing, like I said before, towards the question that Annalisa posed toward me, why is it that so many black men are externalizing it toward externalizing their issues upon black women? um I I won't, like I said, I won't say this is like the cause or the source of it, but I think something that definitely exacerbates it is the predation of red pill platforms. They capitalize upon people's frustrations, whether it be small or great, whether they've been hurt a little or a lot, and then they cause them to think, aha, you see, this is the source of your problems. This culprit right here, and they point the finger at black women. And that
wait,
is
1 second. So my mic is apparently not working. So everyone do their closing and I'll end this here because I don't know what's wrong with my mic. Go ahead.
so I've heard different explanations from psychologists about how a certain kind of groupthink can arise where people make a particular common enemy out of somebody because they have, I guess, what one might call free floating anxiety. They they have anxiety that they can't exactly identify where it's from, and this perhaps goes to the point of what conference was saying before about the need to go to therapy. Because we do, I think we can all agree that I think in the black community in general, perhaps more so on the part of black men, that therapy is not as socially uh, celebrated, or maybe even stigmatized at times. But the thing is, there's a lot of free floating anxiety, perhaps, that I would say exists, um, from what I would imagine would be like different emotional, psychological, and social issues that black men have um, not exactly come face to face with. And because of that, the only thing it takes is for an apparently authoritative figure to point your angst and anxiety in the direction of one particular culprit. And about, like, I think what I was hearing from the psychologist, he was talking about this sort of groupthink. Um, it can basically be it only takes about like 20% of a demographic to truly believe in the narrative that's being spun by that authoritative figure, and then it takes about 30%, another 30% of people who are just kind of like, I don't know, I guess I'll just follow along with what appears to be the trend or the way to think. And then you can have the rest of the population. I'm not sure if I'm getting the numbers exactly right in terms of those percentages, but a minority that's a true believer. There's another group that's a little bit larger that basically just going with the flow, and there's another group that can either be non-committed to that narrative or be totally against it. And the only thing that it takes really is for that group that's against the narrative to speak up more, to get some more of those people who are kind of just like going with the flow, to get them to go to reverse to their direction. Therefore, that other minority who's like a true believer in the false narrative
I don't know
can
if it's that easy.
can lose power. So, when it comes to the question of what is the solution, I think the rather simple solution is that those who can recognize the falsehood of the narrative or of the message of, say, for instance, the manosphere and whatnot, they need to become more proactive in countering the messages. It's a culture war, and one side of the war just needs to step up more a little bit, I guess.
It's a war that they created. Like they created the culture.
Well, certainly, and it's like, where the ideas came from or not, or disseminated from or not. The fact of the matter is that there's people who recognize that this is that what one particular group is saying as a normative statement is just wrong, and without pushing back on it enough, then that false narrative will only increase in power. That's my entire point.
Wait, can you guys hear me? Like, I literally think I just
Sound far
dropped
away.
off the street.
Oh, your mic is it's feedback I hear.
Mm.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Water, and then Annalise, and then I'll end because I don't know what's happening.
Mm.
Um, Hi. I want to start off by saying that only men can fix the problems that men are having. And with that said, with the comment that was previously said about Black women and Black men all starting off in the same place, um, and Black women being able to make it through, my husband and I were having this conversation a while back, and we came to the conclusion of the saying, um, what is it, that mothers raise their daughters but love their sons. And the problem is that the opposite is not there. Fathers are supposed to raise their sons and love their daughters. Mothers will give, even if they are decent mothers, they will give their daughters warnings of what to expect when they step out of this house or of their house to face the world. Whereas boys, they're just being loved by their mom and they don't have a father to actually give them that heads up or even know how to handle things. And that's why they find themselves at a disadvantage. Not saying that you can blame everything on the father either, because once you become an adult, it is your responsibility to self develop. But to me, it is where the disadvantage comes in as to how it is that women are doing better than the man in the society right now.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me now? I'm using my phone, which I don't like to do. Is it better now?
Much better, much better.
All right, so I'll keep it for 2 seconds. Thank you so much, Water. All right, finally, Annalicia. I see Dean was out there trolling you, but I've been ignoring him.
He's very toxic. I don't know. It's, and I know, I guess people say, you kind of take the good with the bad with people, or you try to see the best in people. For me, when I see red flags, I skate. I'm on ice. I can't deal with them. But I read his comments and I'm like, oh my, like he's very toxic. Him and the other one, what's his name? The other one that I wanted to come up. Very,
Shea Butter, something. Um,
yes, yeah.
I wanted Shea Butter to come up. He shouldn't be talking in the chat because I told him to come up and he didn't come. So I don't know how he's still talking. But go
Oh
ahead.
no, I think he's gone. But I hope you can break down the Moynihan report. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. But I'll be there definitely. I'll share, I'll like, I'll comment, but I'll be there for sure because I think that there are things that you can bring to it. I think that you can still elevate it. I don't think that, and while Cynthia did an amazing, very surgical, comprehensive breakdown, I know for a fact that you can add to that. So if you ever felt so inclined, we would all be there for it.
Well,
Um,
the work is already there, so I might think about this.
maybe, and also with the plantation. I don't know if
I will watch that. I will watch that. I
okay.
will watch it.
Okay, perfect. Well, I just want to say I really appreciate Impossible is Nothing. I appreciate him coming up here. He was he was honest. He's obviously an intellectual. He obviously has some self-awareness and I appreciate that. Like and I wish that more black men could come up here and do that and but at the same time, I don't want to coddle black men. Like
Yeah.
I really, and really looking forward to your panel on Sunday with all men. I'm really looking
I
forward to
I
it.
am very excited for it. I am kind of I'm holding my breath and I've been so disappointed in the last week or so. But I'm looking forward to it too. Hopefully I'll get some more energy from hearing people be good people. That's
But
what
you
I'm
know
hoping
what?
for.
I think if anyone is going to facilitate that panel and it's going to be productive and progressive and fruitful, it's going to be you. It's going to be you. And there's going to
That's
be
a
a
lot
lot
of
of back
pressure
and
now.
forth on your end and I know that you're going to bring fire. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
That's now a lot of pressure, but I'm excited. Thank you so much.
So, but thank you for allowing me to come up here and derail and speak over. No, I'm kidding. I'll never do that again. I love you. I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. And the sky for you is the limit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Have a good night.
Good night.
So you're saying that this is cumulative over the course of several generations. There's amongst the frustration that has accumulated. I should have read this while you said it. I'm not sure what that. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, though. Who was that? Let's see. Tina the Traveler. I'm so sorry. I didn't look at that while we were talking. Thanks, Demuth and panel. See you Sunday. The solution is there, and black men will need to be accountable and responsible for their issues, and soon. Good night. Thank you. Tina, thank you again, because we can't say that this comes from social media influencers. The rhetoric and so called culture war predates the existence of the internet. Yeah, Um, yeah, I think that that's true, right? Like it predates it. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Tina. I really, really do appreciate you guys. And I will see you again later. Bye. The after show. Um, for the live on Sunday, I don't know who's going to be there. I have invited literally every man that ever commented on this channel. I've just been inviting people. I do hope to see them there. And I do hope that it's going to be a really good, meaningful, uplifting conversation. But this was so. Let me just stop. The panel discussion is not my idea. I was in my moderators meeting, and unfortunately, there's only one guy that is a part of the moderators meeting, and here he is, London. He's the one who said, "Well, let's try to get all men on the panel, and let's try to talk and see what can happen." And I am forever grateful for him stepping up in the way that he has to try and get me to do more. And so the panel was his idea. And I don't like taking credit for things like this. So I want to say thank you to London for bringing this up in our meeting. And I look forward to this. I'm putting my everything in it. But you have more faith than I do, London. So at this point, I do appreciate you. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful night, everyone. Thank Landon for the panel. If it doesn't go well, London was the problem. He is the problem. Drag him, not me. If the panel goes up in flames, London did that. It's all him. I had nothing to do with it. But anyway, have a wonderful night. Bye. Yes, the stream is done. Bye. I'm waving because I continue to wave. But yeah, I'm throwing London under the bus, girl. I've already got time for this. Have a good one. Bye.